Chapter 1356. Ding. Second round of the chain random mission completed. Ding. Host has triggered the third round of the chain random mission. Kill the Earth Fiend sect leader who is possessed by the Earth Fiend. Upon hearing this, Xianxia raised his eyebrows. As expected, the third round of the mission wasn't that simple. The Earth Fiend sect leader was most likely a second-stage Nirvana realm expert. If Xianxia didn't break through, it would be difficult for him to fight against him. The Earth Fiend is a very strange type of heaven-reaching beast. Its entire body is formed by the accumulation of fiendish aura. Now that the Earth Fiend sect leader is possessed by the Earth Fiend, I'm afraid it will be difficult to deal with him. Xianxia swallowed his saliva. Emotions could sometimes increase one's strength, which was why the violent fiend aura was very difficult to deal with. Moreover, Xianxia didn't know how many violent fiends there were. If there were a few of them, it would be troublesome. No matter what, there are only 9 minutes left. If I can't kill the Earth Fiend sect leader within these 9 minutes, it will be a loss. Xianxia thought for a moment and made a decision. He couldn't use the devour points that he had exchanged for the upper limit of his killing intent. Luo, Wei Zhentian, Old Tree. Catch some people who are possessed by the violent fiend aura. I'm going to start a massacre. Xianxia said to the three of them. Okay. The three of them replied in unison. Not only that, but the 8th and 9th stage fragmentation realm experts who were controlled by Xianxia and Luo were also included. As for Xianxia himself, he naturally had to find the Nirvana realm elders. It would be best if he could find 1 or 2. When the time came, he would be able to increase his killing intent by a lot. Time was of the essence. Xianxia's figure flashed as he swept towards the depths of the Earth Fiend sect. He could see the overwhelming fiendish aura in the depths of the Earth Fiend sect. He was afraid that the Earth Fiend sect leader was there. 10 seconds later, he felt a few powerful auras. 3 first-stage Nirvana realm martial artists, 1 second-stage Nirvana realm martial artists. Xianxia's heart trembled. Looks like that second-level rebirth stage martial artist is the sect master of the Earth Fiend sect. The Earth Emanation sect had not been established for long. Compared to Fire Cloud Palace, there were fewer experts. However, they could refine Earth Emanation's pills. Therefore, they produced a second Firmament Nirvana realm expert, who was also the sect master of the Earth Emanation sect. Xianxia used the Eye of Revelation to look over from afar, and noticed that the sect master of the Earth Fiend sect was giving orders to the 3 first-level Nirvana stage elders. After the Earth Fiend sect leader was possessed by the Earth Fiend, he was actually able to control the 3 elders who were invaded by the frenzied fiendish qi. Xianxia was extremely shocked. If that was the case, it would be too terrifying. In the distance, in addition to these 4 people, there was also a pitch-black catacomb. At this moment, a steady stream of murderous aura was gushing out from this catacomb, spreading in all directions. Xianxia used his genuine qi and 10,000 mammoth strength to block the murderous aura, which was why he was able to survive. Now, it was a little tricky for him. There were actually 3 first-level Nirvana stage elders here. It would be a little difficult to deal with them altogether, not to mention the sect master of the Earth Fiend sect who was possessed by the Earth Fiend. This is the only way. I'll lure these 3 people away first, then use the killing feast to kill them. When the time comes for me to break through, I'll have the ability to fight with the sect master of the Earth Fiend sect. After Xianxia finished thinking in his heart, he left again. The Earth Fiend sect had always recruited geniuses, so there were not many people in the sect, only about 10,000. However, since the outbreak of the murderous aura, not many people were spared. At this moment, there were only 3,000 to 4,000 people left. Among them, 100 were controlled by Xianxia and Luo. If the Xianming duo demons did not leave, they would probably be dead by now. Therefore, Xianxia did not pay much attention to them. Who knew where the Xianming duo demons died? He did not have the time to search. By the time he returned to the Earth Fiend sect square, Luo and the other 2 had already captured several hundred people. After some thought, Xianxia decided to take action personally. This was an extremely important mission. It was either success or failure. Anyway, there were still more than 8 minutes left. It would be safer to capture more people. However, when Xianxia and the other 3 captured more than 400 Earth Fiend sect experts who had been affected by the murderous aura, the 3 Nirvana stage elders suddenly appeared. Then, these people suddenly stopped. Yi Xian raised his eyebrows and immediately used his eye of insight to scan the area. He discovered that the amount of baleful aura within the bodies of the 3 first-level Nirvana stage Earth Fiend sect elders was astonishing, 10 times that of Elder Lin from before. I'm afraid these 3 have become the powerful Earth Fiend servants and are beginning to control these Earth Fiend sect's disciples. Yi Xian's eyes flickered. He shouted in his mind, "Do it! Killing feast!" His eyes flickered. The massacre began. "Young master, I've been waiting for you to say that." Luo pursed her cherry lips and immediately created hundreds of clones. Then, she condensed a purifying demonic lotus flame and smashed it down. Instantly, the hundreds of captured Earth Fiend sex elites were burned to ashes. The amplification of Yi Xian's slaughter feast instantly doubled. However, it was still not enough. "You guys continue. I'll kill these 3. Yi Xian shouted in a low voice and shot out like an arrow. The 3 Nirvana stage elites' eyes flickered. Then the 2,000 to 3,000 people around them attacked Yi Xian and the other 3. They're indeed under control. Come on. Yi Xian reacted. So what if the 4 of them became a thorn in their side? There were only 3 Nirvana stage elders here. The rest were all in the fragmentation stage. Luo and the other 2 were completely outmatched. Killing intent explosion. Unparalleled flame dragon slash. Yi Xian held the scarlet flame sword and slashed out. A golden flame dragon whizzed out. However, this time, the golden flame dragon was 3 times bigger than before. In addition to the killing feast's enhancement, Yi Xian also exchanged for an 8th stage fragmentation stage burning sky pill. The power of his flame technique was greatly increased. In addition to the immortal Phoenix Bloodline's flame attack, this move was extremely powerful. However, these 3 Nirvana stage elders' strength was just below the Earth Fiend sect's leader. In addition to the enormous murderous aura in their bodies, their combat strength increased greatly. "Die, brat!" The 3 of them shouted in unison and attacked ferociously. Although Yi Xian's attack was powerful, the 3 of them had used their Nirvana flames. Hence, they were evenly matched. Even the Eye of Destruction was defeated. However, Luo and the other 2 were still moving among the thousands of people. The killing feast's enhancement was still increasing. Again. Yi Xian didn't panic as he attacked again. This time, the attack was even more powerful than before. The 3 first-level Nirvana stage elders made their move once again. This time around, they were still evenly matched. "I'd like to see if you can still take it this time." Yi Xian's eyes flickered. Suddenly, he created a clone. The burning sky pill was effective in the merged state. However, when he created a clone, only the original body was effective. Hence, Yi Xian immediately exchanged for a freezing sky pill and swallowed it. Chapter 1357. Ice and Fire Dual Dragon Sword Array. Dual Dragon Roar. The Ice and Fire Dragon silhouettes converged and opened their mouths. The power of this attack was 2 to 3 times stronger than the peerless Flame Dragon Slash. It was enough to kill the 3 of them instantly. The 3 Earth Fiend sect elders also felt an unusual aura. However, they had no time to dodge and could only face it head-on. They used Nirvana Fire to protect themselves. However, this attack was no small matter. After they were engulfed, not even ashes were left behind. Ding. Host's killing intent has increased. Ding. Host's killing intent has increased. Ding. Host's killing intent has increased. 3 system notifications sounded out in a row, causing Yi Xian's killing intent to skyrocket. The 3 of them died at almost the same time, which doubled the killing feast's increase. Yi Xian's current combat power was 3 times stronger than before. At that moment, Yi Xian quickly rushed over and took the universe rings of the 3. The items inside were enough for him to break through to the 9th level of the void-breaking realm. However, he did not devour them immediately. "Continue killing," Yi Xian said to Luo and the other 2. He was only at the 8th level of the void-breaking realm now. If he killed these Earth Fiend sect experts who were invaded by the demonic aura, he might be able to reach the upper limit. At that time, it would be 1 devour point. However, there was a time limit to the killing feast, so he had to move faster. Ding. Host's killing intent has increased. Ding. Host's killing intent has increased. Ding. Host's killing intent has increased. The system notifications kept ringing in Yi Xian's mind. His strength continued to increase. Just a little more, just a little more. Yi Xian thought to himself and moved faster. At the same time, the duration of the killing feast was decreasing. Finally, on the 7th second after the death of the 3 Nirvana stage practitioners, a different system notification sounded out. Ding! Killing intent has reached the upper limit. Do you want to exchange it for devour points? Yes. Ding! Killing intent has been reset to 0. Host has obtained 1 devour point. Yi Xian's killing intent value was instantly reset to 0. At this moment, he could not even use his killing intent explosion. However, he had stored up quite a few weapons. He directly devoured these weapons. Not only did his cultivation level increase, but his killing intent also soared. Alright, Luo, you guys continue. After Yi Xian gave his instructions to the 3 of them, he turned around and left. At the same time, the moment he turned around, his aura suddenly increased by several times. Ding! The host has made a breakthrough. The host is currently in the 9th stage of the fragmentation stage. The amplification of the killing feast was based on percentage. Therefore, after Yi Xian broke through, although the amplification was still 2 times, the amplification was much greater than when he was in the 8th stage of the fragmentation realm. After the breakthrough, Yi Xian swiftly rushed towards the back mountain of the Earth Fiend sect. 3 seconds later, he saw the sect leader of the Earth Fiend sect once again. There are only 3 seconds left in the killing feast. 3 seconds is enough to kill you. Yi Xian's eyes widened as he exchanged for another frozen heaven pill. Then he cloned. Ice and Fire Twin Dragon Sword Formation. Twin Dragon Roar. Before the sect leader of the Earth Fiend sect realized what had happened, Yi Xian directly attacked. The Twin Dragon Roar pierced through the air and killed the sect leader of the Earth Fiend sect in the blink of an eye. Ding! Host's killing intent has increased. The killing intent of a 2nd stage Nirvana realm martial artist was terrifyingly high. In general, the chain mission was considered to have been successfully completed. However, the next system notification shocked him. Ding! The 3rd round of the chain mission is completed. Ding! Host has triggered the 4th round of the chain mission. Kill the frenzied Earth Fiend in the Earth Fiend Cave. Upon completion of the mission, the host will randomly draw 2 of the following 3 rewards. Reward 1. Beast God Bloodline Power Advancement and Agility Advancement are combined. The level of advancement will be the higher of the 2. At the same time, the movement speed increase from agility will not be limited to land. Reward 2. Activate the God-slaying bloodline and kill in 1 hit. Reward 3. Monster Growth Speed Advancement, Monster Attribute Advancement, and Monster Expansion Advancement are combined. The level of advancement will be the higher of the 3. These were the 3 rewards for the completion of this chain random mission. Seeing this, Yi Xian's eyes could not help but light up. Among the 3 rewards, there were 2 that made him very jealous. They were the 1st and 2nd rewards. Now, his strength had advanced 6 times, and his agility had advanced 10 times. If they were combined, then his strength would also advance to 10 times. At the same time, his flying speed would double from now on. It was simply a godly skill. As for the 2nd reward, it was even more awesome. It actually allowed him to activate the 1-hit kill skill that he had been dreaming of. Although this 1-hit kill skill had an extremely low probability of being activated, it would be a godly skill if it was activated. No matter how strong the opponent was, as long as they were injured, they would be killed in 1 hit. Moreover, this sure kill skill was also effective against the enemy. Even if it was a skill that could destroy the heavens and earth, as long as Yi Xian's casual True Chi Slash was able to trigger the sure kill effect, he would be able to destroy the opponent's destructive skill. As for the 3rd reward, it was not essential to Yi Xian. After all, these 3 advancement paths happened to have advanced 6 times. Even if they were combined, there would not be any increase. Most importantly, Yi Xian would not use his devour points to advance these 3 paths. However, if there were rewards from future random missions, it would be a good idea to advance all 3 paths at once. Out of these 3 rewards, Yi Xian would have profited by randomly drawing 2 of them. If his luck was good, he might be able to draw the 2 that he liked. That would be a godly skill. But then again, in order to complete this chain mission, he had to kill the Mad Demon. For this mission to be placed after killing the Earth Fiend sect leader, it meant that the Mad Demon was stronger than the Earth Fiend sect leader. Even though the Earth Fiend sect leader was killed by me, I was enhanced by the Feast of Slaughter just now. Now that there are only a few seconds left, I have to act quickly. At the thought of this, Yi Xian immediately moved and dived into the underground cavern that was constantly gushing with murderous aura. However, what was tragic was that even after the Feast of Slaughter's effect ended, he still could not find the mad demon. He couldn't even sense it. What a tragedy. I hope this mad demon is not at the 3rd level of Nirvana realm. Otherwise, it will be a tough battle. Yi Xian shook his head helplessly and continued to dive. In this underground cavern, the murderous aura continued to rise. The deeper he went, the stronger it became. When he was descending, he saw the traces of an array at the entrance of the cavern. It seemed that the array was not properly protected and the murderous aura broke through, resulting in the annihilation of the sect. Yi Xian was very careful as he descended because he felt that this mad demon was not as simple as it seemed. The Earth Fiend inside the Earth Fiend sect leader that was instantly killed was probably just a small one. Chapter 1358. This mad spectre is the most powerful one among the 7 spectres. Its ability is not to be underestimated. I must be prepared for the Eye of the Void. If anything goes wrong, I'll escape. My life is more important, Yi Xian thought to himself as he landed at the bottom of the catacombs. There were small caves on all sides of the catacombs. However, Yi Xian did not discover any living creatures within the range of his senses. Wei Zhentian, explore the way. Yi Xian released Wei Zhentian and ordered it to enter one of the caves to investigate. Wei Zhentian's speed was very fast. After all, it was immortal. Soon, it detected the area outside of Yi Xian's senses. However, not long after, Yi Xian heard a series of system notifications. Ding! Wei Zhentian is dead. Ding! Wei Zhentian is resurrected. Dead? Yi Xian raised his eyebrows. It seemed that the mad spectre should be there. However, just as he was about to move, he noticed a slight movement. Traces of murderous aura suddenly seeped out of these small caves. These murderous auras were different from the murderous auras in the catacombs. They could be condensed into forms, which were the earth specters. Then, the earth specters were condensed into forms and crawled out of the caves. The earth specters were a very strange type of heaven-reaching beast. They were condensed from murderous auras. Their bodies were completely black and slightly emitted a black glow. They looked different. Some were like scorpions, some were like centipedes. So many? Yi Xian was slightly surprised. At this moment, he had already sensed dozens of earth specters. Fortunately, these earth specters' auras were not strong. They looked like they were only at the 9th stage of the fragmentation realm. However, after these earth specters appeared, they suddenly began to merge and grew stronger. So they split up. Kill. Yi Xian immediately understood. He immediately summoned Luo Luo and the other 2 to attack the smaller earth specters. Killing intent explosion. Unparalleled flaming dragon slash. Yi Xian also started to attack. A single golden flame dragon was enough to completely obliterate 2 or 3 little earth fiends. Although the boost from the massacre feast had passed, with his current ability, he could even fight against a 2nd-level Nirvana realm expert, let alone these little earth emanations who had not even reached Nirvana realm. However, just as they were killing these small earth fiends, a few large figures suddenly crawled out from a few slightly larger caves. These 5 earth fiends were all at the Nirvana realm. They were tall and burly, standing at least 2 meters tall. After they appeared, they quickly absorbed the small earth emanations around them and grew rapidly. They are trying to gather together to form an earthen fiend. Yi Xian immediately reacted. Killing intent explosion. Unparalleled flame dragon slash. He launched an attack at the earth fiend that had already grown to 3 meters. The effect of the burning heaven pill was an hour long, and coupled with the effect of the immortal divine phoenix bloodline and sword god bloodline, even if it was a 2nd-level Nirvana stage expert, if they didn't use Nirvana flames, they would surely be unable to receive it. However, this earth fiend was not to be trifled with. In the blink of an eye, it grew to the height of a Nirvana stage expert. It opened its mouth and spat out a mouthful of black murderous aura, which collided with the golden flame dragon. However, to Yi Xian's surprise, this golden flame dragon's power was much stronger than before. That's right. The Eye of Glory's golden vital energy has an additional damage effect on certain things. At this moment, Yi Xian suddenly had an epiphany. Even a 2nd-level Nirvana stage expert would not dare to enter this murderous aura cave, but he could do so without batting an eyelid. It was not because of anything else, but because of this golden vital energy. Outside, the murderous aura was thinner, so Luoluo was fine. However, in here, Luoluo had to use her vital energy and all creation's force to separate the murderous aura and prevent it from being absorbed. This golden vital energy had a good effect on the murderous aura. It instantly destroyed the murderous aura attack and then blasted the earth fiend. Roar. This earth fiend was in so much pain that it roared. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Yi Xian began to attack crazily. In the blink of an eye, this earth fiend was killed. Wei Zhentian, collect it. Yi Xian said to Luoluo. Earlier, he had already exchanged for an item called the Murderous Aura Absorption Bottle. This Murderous Aura Absorption Bottle was specially used to absorb murderous aura. Wei Zhentian had been absorbing the murderous aura just now. When the time came, he could use it to refine the Earth Fiend pill. On the other side, a few Earth Fiends had also reached the Nirvana stage. However, the current Yi Xian was not afraid of them at all. Every Earth Fiend that was hit by the unparalleled Flame Dragon Slash was turned into ashes. After death, the murderous aura was absorbed again. Although Yi Xian really wanted to catch an Earth Fiend, the chain random mission required him to clean up these Earth Fiends. Hence, he had no choice. Soon, these Earth Fiends were eliminated by Yi Xian one by one. Fortunately, these Earth Fiends have split up. If they were to fuse together, I'm afraid they would be at the third level of the Nirvana stage. Yi Xian thought to himself. The third level of the Nirvana stage Frenzied Fiend had outstanding combat power. Even with the Eye of Glory, he would probably have to fight to the death. Fortunately, the heavens were watching over him. This Frenzied Fiend actually took the initiative to split into smaller ones. Then, Yi Xian killed them one by one. After they died, Yi Xian asked Wei Zhentian to start absorbing the murderous aura everywhere. The Earth Fiend was the source of the murderous aura. Once the Earth Fiend died, the murderous aura would no longer be produced. Soon, all the murderous aura in the catacombs was taken away. With so much murderous aura, it's enough to refine many Earth Fiend pills. I should be able to break through to the peak of the 9th level of the fragmentation stage. Yi Xian thought to himself. He did not know what was needed to break through the 9th level of the fragmentation stage to the Nirvana stage. Could it be the Nirvana pill again? Yi Xian felt that it should be different this time. After absorbing all the murderous aura in the catacombs, Yi Xian asked Wei Zhentian to continue absorbing it outside. At the same time, the system's delayed notification finally sounded. Ding! Host has completed the chain random mission. Do you want to draw the random reward? Yes. Yi Xian replied. Then, a wheel appeared in his mind. Like a lottery, he started to draw his 2 rewards. Out of the 3, the rewards were already very generous. Yi Xian only hoped that he would get the one-hit kill skill. This was a godly skill. It was a godly skill that could kill even a connecting Heaven Level 9 expert in seconds. Ding! Reward draw complete. The system notified. At this time, Yi Xian took a closer look and realized that he had really hit the jackpot. Out of the 3, he had chosen the first reward and the second reward. In other words, he had drawn the one-hit kill skill that was worth 5 devour points. Haha! Yi Xian could not help but laugh maniacally at the sky. He did not get the reward for the evolution of the beast. Ding! Beast God Bloodline Power Evolution and Agility Evolution have merged successfully. Ding! Host has learned the one-hit kill skill. The 2 system notifications sounded. Yi Xian was so happy that he could not close his mouth. Chapter 1359. Yi Xian immediately used Shadow of the Imperial Wind Dragon. As expected, his speed in the air was doubled due to his dexterity advancement. Good, I won't have to fight on land from now on. Yi Xian was very satisfied. Because his strength had only advanced 6 times previously, his strength had increased by 60%. Now that it was combined with his dexterity advancement, it was forcibly increased to 100%, just like his dexterity advancement. Simply put, his battle prowess had increased by quite a bit. Then, he turned his attention to the one-hit kill skill. This one-hit kill skill was similar to Eye of Glory. It could be activated or deactivated to avoid accidentally injuring his friends and family. After activating it, every time Yi Xian attacked, it would trigger a one-hit kill. If triggered, this attack would instantly kill the opponent or destroy the opponent's attack. I can't see the probability, so I don't know how low it is. Is it 1%, 1 in 1,000, or even 1 in 10,000? Yi Xian squinted his eyes. Fortunately, this one-hit kill skill's activation rate increased every time it advanced. For example, if the initial activation rate was 1%, then after 1 advancement, it would become 2%, and after 9 advancements, it would become 10%. However, Yi Xian estimated that the probability wouldn't reach 1%, because it was too high. It should be at least 1 in 10,000. 1 in 10,000, that's not bad. In the future, I'll make a divine ability like Throbbing Earth. One attack can trigger hundreds of times. Yi Xian squinted his eyes. He discovered that there was another way to increase the activation rate, and that was to have a lucky equipment. Lucky equipment could be exchanged in the shop, but it couldn't be bought with Super Devour crystals. It could only be exchanged with Devour points. If he had a lucky equipment, then in the future, when refining pills, forging weapons, or even exchanging items, there might be a critical hit effect such as double or triple damage. In addition, if he wanted to obtain luck, he could also refine blessings. Pouring the blessings on weapons or equipment would also increase his luck. For example, if Megatron's luck increased by 1 point, then its attacks in the future might have a critical hit effect, and its attack power might increase explosively. If it was the Radiant set, then it might block critical hits when taking damage, weakening the enemy's attack power. It was said that when a piece of equipment had 9 points of luck, it would have an unexpected effect. Now that the chain of random quests had been completed and the rewards had been collected, it was time for Yi Xian to leave this damned place. He had come to the Earth Emanations Island for an important reason: to find the Xianming Duo demons. He didn't know if the Xianming Duo demons had died in the chaos of the murderous aura. No matter what, he had to carefully search for them. If they were dead, then Mo Shui could rest in peace. Outside, the battle had also stopped. Luo and the people under her control had already killed everyone else, leaving no survivors. At this moment, they were searching for the 2 people in the portrait, preparing to turn the entire Earth Fiend sect upside down. Young master, this is an interspatial ring. At this time, Luo suddenly came over with a large cloth bag. There were thousands of interspatial rings in it. Although most of them did not have much in them, they still added up to a huge fortune. Yi Xian stored up some of the ingredients needed to refine the Earth Fiend pill and then swallowed the rest. Ding! The host has broken through to the peak of the 9th level of the Fragmentation Realm. Ding! The host has triggered a special level-up quest, Nirvana Realm. Do you accept? When he heard the system notification, Yi Xian raised his eyebrows. What the hell was a special level-up quest for the Nirvana Realm? Accept. Ding! Once accepted, there will be a breakthrough requirement for every breakthrough. Do you accept? The system actually gave him another notification. Yi Xian fell silent. It seemed that this special level-up quest was not so easy to complete. Perhaps he had to reach the 9th level of the Nirvana Realm. Since it has taken so long, the rewards must be very generous. When he thought of this, Yi Xian's eyes lit up. He replied in his heart, "Accept." Ding! The host has successfully accepted the special level-up quest, Nirvana Realm. The current breakthrough requirement is the 10,000 Beast Fire. Yi Xian was shocked because he heard that the level-up of the Nirvana Realm required a strange fire. That was a strange fire. He was now at the 9th level of the Fragmentation Realm. If he wanted to break through from the 9th level of the Fragmentation Realm to the Nirvana Realm, he actually needed to merge with the 10,000 Beast Fire, which was ranked 100 on the Strange Fire list. Without the 10,000 Beast Fire, he would be stuck at the 9th level of the Fragmentation Realm forever. What the F***ck, husky? Yi Xian wanted to cry but had no tears. However, after accepting this special level-up quest, he could not give up. Now it was a tragedy. Life was really full of ups and downs. Previously, after completing the chain of random quests, his confidence had suddenly exploded. But now, his confidence had suddenly fallen to rock bottom. Although he had once obtained the Eternal Earth Core Fire, which was ranked 93rd on the Strange Fire list, he had obtained it through great luck. Now he had no clue about the 10,000 Beast Fire, which was ranked 100 on the Strange Fire list. It would probably take a lot of time to find it. Now that he had clues about the Yinyang Temple, how could he continue to investigate if he was stuck at the 9th level of the Fragmentation Realm? It seems that I have to find the 10,000 Beast Fire as soon as possible. Only then can I break through to the Nirvana realm. Yi Xian made a decision in his heart. Fortunately, searching for the 10,000 beast fire and investigating the Yin Yang temple did not conflict. However, for now it was better to do other things first. After thinking about it, Yi Xian also began to search the corpses. The dozens of people who were being controlled had been questioned by Luo Luo earlier. They had not seen the Xianming duo demons before. How many elders does the Earth Devastation sect have? Yi Xian asked a 9th-level fragmentation realm guardian. 8. The guardian answered honestly. 8. Hearing this, Yi Xian raised his eyebrows. In the second round of the chain of random quests, he had killed 3 elders. Then, he killed 3 more elders, which made 6 elders. Then, what about the other 2 Nirvana realm elders? You guys, draw the portraits of the 8 elders, Yi Xian said. Then, he saw the portraits one by one. For experts of this level, drawing was really easy for them. Yi Xian recognized 6 of them at first glance. As for the remaining 2 elders, he had actually met one of them before. It was the old fisherman who had reminded him to take a boat to the Earth Devastation Island. I should have known. There aren't many Nirvana realm experts around here. Yi Xian frowned, but he focused on the last unfamiliar portrait. Where is this elder? Yi Xian looked up and asked. I'm not sure. Maybe he went out. The group of Earth Devastation sect experts shook their heads. Then where does he live? Yi Xian continued to ask. Over there. One of them pointed to a mountain. At that moment, Yi Xian quickly flew over and found the elder's residence. He searched carefully and found a strange piece of paper. Is it the Will of Charm again? Chapter 1360. It was likely that a bewitching intent had been left on this piece of paper. It then controlled this Earth Emanation sect elder named Su Yang to escort the Xianming twin specters away. It was unknown where Earth Emanation's island's next stop was. Fire Cloud Palace, Earth Emanation's Island, and Void City. These 3 factions are similar in strength. Therefore, they should be heading towards a stronger place. Yi Xian thought to himself. At that moment, a person suddenly scurried over and reported, Master, there's a ship missing from the Back Mountains harbor. Where does the Back Mountains harbor lead to? Yi Xian raised his brows and asked. That ship is used to traverse the Unisea Sea region. Upon hearing this, Yi Xian's eyes lit up. From the looks of it, Elder Su Yang had left with the Xianming twin specters and was preparing to head to the other end of the Unisea Sea region. How long will it take to traverse the Unisea Sea region? Yi Xian continued asking. According to the elder's speed, it will probably take a day to traverse the Unisea Sea region. However, the whirlpool there seems to be a change soon. If Master wishes to leave, it's best to do so as soon as possible. The guardian said respectfully. When the whirlpool changed, it meant that the heaven-connecting beasts in the whirlpool changed places to forage for food. Every time there was a change, the navigation map would be useless. Thankfully, Yi Xian's perception range was greater than a second-stage Nirvana realm. Even if he was swept into the whirlpool, he could use the eyes of the void to leave. If I were to go around the Unisea Sea region, I'm afraid it would take me 7 days. If that's the case, I won't be able to catch up. Yi Xian thought for a moment and decided to give chase. Young master, what should we do with these people? Luo Luo glanced at the people around her. These people had the baneful aura invading their bodies. If they weren't controlled and bewitched, they would probably have killed each other. If this were before, Yi Xian would probably have asked them to commit suicide. However, after knowing that the golden quintessential qi countered the baneful aura, he decided to save them. At that moment, he used the golden quintessential qi to expel the baneful aura in their bodies, allowing them to return to normal. A few minutes later, the baneful aura in everyone's body was purged. Thank you, Master. The group of people thanked him respectfully. Luo Luo, let's go. Without another word, Yi Xian coolly turned around and swept towards the back of the mountain. It was only after they had set sail that the control of these people was lifted. The unfrozen sea realm was extremely dangerous, but Yi Xian would use the void positioning system whenever he had nothing to do. Even if the ship capsized, he could always return and continue. Ding! Earth Fiend pills have been successfully concocted. Quantity is 100. Ding! Earth Fiend pills have been successfully concocted. Quantity is 100. Ding! Earth Fiend pills have been successfully concocted. Quantity is 100. System notifications rang out one after another. Yi Xian used the materials in the devouring space to start refining the Earth Fiend pill. The main component of this Earth Fiend pill was the fiendish qi. Because the level of this fiendish qi was not high enough, the Earth Fiend pills refined were at most of the Fragmentation Realm and Nirvana Realm. However, this was enough for Luoluo. If everything went smoothly, they would be able to leave the Unfrozen Sea region in 1 or 2 days. During this time, Luoluo and the Old Tree would be able to break through to the 9th level of the Fragmentation Realm. The Unfrozen Sea region was indeed a nightmare for others. Even a small whirlpool could kill a 9th level Fragmentation Realm martial artist or even a Nirvana Realm expert. However, it was still relatively easy for Yi Xian. Although he could not let Wei Zhentian scout the way, his eye of perception was large enough to avoid countless large and small whirlpools along the way. During this time, due to the changes in the whirlpools, the ship did flip a few times. However, Yi Xian directly used the Eye of the Void to escape the scene. After a day and a half, he left the Unfrozen Sea region. At this time, Luoluo, Wei Zhentian, and the Old Tree were all at the 9th level of the Fragmentation Realm. Unfortunately, the realm of an object could not be higher than its master. Therefore, if Yi Xian did not break through, they would not be able to either unless they used devouring points to unlock the restrictions of the object's realm. After leaving the Unfrozen Sea region, Yi Xian looked around. Coincidentally, a 9th level Fragmentation Realm martial artist passed by, so he was directly controlled by him. "Give me the universe ring," Yi Xian directly ordered him. This unlucky guy did not say anything and threw the universe ring to Yi Xian. The latter checked it and found a map. The nearest force to this place was a force called the Thousand Beasts Sect. This was a force that controlled heaven-reaching beasts. Its strength was not bad and was slightly stronger than the Earth Fiend Island. The Thousand Beasts flame is born in the body of a heaven-reaching beast. Only a heaven-reaching beast of at least the Nirvana realm would have it. This Thousand Beasts Sect might have the Thousand Beasts flame. Yi Xian's eyes could not help but emit 2 rays of light. His luck was not bad. What he needed most now was the Thousand Beasts flame, which was ranked first on the exceptional flame list. Now, the Thousand Beasts sect had come prepared for him. Moreover, that elder Su Yang escorting the Xianming duo demons probably came to the Thousand Beasts sect to be escorted by stronger experts. Yi Xian immediately put away the map and prepared to set off. However, in the next moment, he suddenly thought of a question and asked, "Have you heard of the Yin Yang Sacred Palace?" This unlucky guy who had been robbed was stunned. He nodded and said, "I have heard of it." Boom. This answer made Yi Xian's heart tremble violently. He had finally found it. "Where is this Yin Yang Sacred Palace? How much do you know?" Yi Xian asked anxiously. "It is north of the Thousand Beasts sect. It takes about half a month to reach. This Yin Yang Sacred Palace is extremely domineering. If there is a brother or sister of the same age in the surrounding forces, they must report it and be taken to the Yin Yang Sacred Palace to be nurtured. When they reach a certain age, the brother and sister will combine and become a person of Yin and Yang. They are neither male nor female. Therefore, many people have moved away from this place." Although this unlucky guy was only at the 9th stage of the Fragmentation Realm, he knew quite a lot. It seemed that Yi Xian had found the right place. Half a month to travel north of the Thousand Beasts sect, Yi Xian secretly calculated in his heart. Half a month was based on this unlucky guy's speed. If he had traveled by himself, it would have taken him at most 2 days. How strong is this Yin Yang Sacred Palace? Yi Xian continued to ask. It is said that it is 10 times or even dozens of times stronger than the Thousand Beasts sect. The unlucky guy who had been robbed answered. This time, Yi Xian fell silent. He was only at the 9th stage of the Fragmentation Realm now. He could only deal with a 2nd stage Nirvana Realm martial artist. Facing a branch of the Yin Yang Sacred Palace that was 10 times or even dozens of times stronger than the Thousand Beasts sect, Yi Xian's confidence suddenly took a hit. Chapter 1361. Thinking of this, Yi Xian could only shake his head helplessly. Fortunately, he finally found a clue to the Yin Yang Temple and did not need to search blindly anymore. "I'm still very far away from the Adjudicator and the Adjudicator. The most important thing now is to break through to the Nirvana Realm." Yi Xian immediately rushed towards the Thousand Beasts sect. Ordinary people did not need mysterious flames to break through from the 9th stage of the Fragmentation Realm to the Nirvana Realm. However, Yi Xian, who had accepted the special level-up mission, had to obtain the Thousand Beasts Fire. The Thousand Beasts Fire was born in the body of a heaven-reaching beast. As long as it was a Nirvana realm heaven-reaching beast, it was possible to have the Thousand Beasts Fire. Therefore, such a heaven-reaching beast was stronger than ordinary heaven-reaching beasts. At the same time, the Thousand Beasts Fire was the most common type. Yi Xian could only hope that the Thousand Beasts sect had the Thousand Beasts Fire. Otherwise, he would be in trouble. Half a day later, he arrived at a small town at the foot of the Thousand Beasts sect. Due to his powerful senses, he could sense some heaven-reaching beasts being controlled by people moving around in the town from afar. There were even Thousand Beast sect geniuses who had broken through to the Nirvana realm. Nirvana realm elites have a lifespan of at least 300 years. As long as there are no hidden injuries, it is common for them to live up to 200 years. It seems that the Thousand Beast sect is not easy to break through, Yi Xian thought to himself. However, he was now at the 9th stage of the fragmentation realm. It should not be a problem for him to control a Nirvana realm elite. Therefore, he was thinking of controlling a Nirvana realm elite and letting them lead him into the Thousand Beast sect. Coincidentally, there was a Nirvana realm elite in the town. His white-haired golden guardian was also a Nirvana realm heaven-reaching beast. Mind's Eye. Yi Xian circled in front of them and used his Mind's Eye. Ding. Control successful. Ding. Control successful. 2 system notifications sounded. The man and the beast were directly controlled by Yi Xian. The man and the beast were only at the 1st stage of the Nirvana realm. Although it was difficult to cross a realm, Yi Xian was only 1 realm lower, so it was not a problem. However, if the other party was at the 2nd stage of the Nirvana realm, it would not be possible. The youth rode on the white-haired Vajra's shoulder and walked in front of Yi Xian. Yi Xian saw that many people avoided him along the way. It seemed that this young man had some background, but it was easy to explain. After all, this young man was a genius at the rebirth realm that was around the age of 30, and he was an existence that was rare in the entire Myriad Beast sect. Yi Xian entered a restaurant first and got a private room. Then, the young man entered with his white-haired friend, Jin Gang. What's your name? Yi Xian went straight to the point. Huang He. The young man replied. All right, tell me, does the Thousand Beast sect have the Thousand Beasts Flame, which is ranked 100 on the Heavenly Flame list? Yi Xian continued to ask. His purpose for coming to the Thousand Beasts sect was for the Thousand Beasts Fire. If the Thousand Beasts sect did not have the Thousand Beasts Fire, it would be a tragedy. Yes. When Yi Xian saw Huang He nod, he heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that he had found the right place. Who has the Thousand Beasts Flame? Yi Xian asked again. The Water King Python under the old sect leader has the Thousand Beasts Flame in its body. It is said that the Water King Python is a level 4 Nirvana realm Tong Tian beast. The second one is a bloodthirsty eagle that eldest senior brother caught last year. It just gave birth to the Thousand Beasts Flame and is a level 3 Nirvana realm Tong Tian beast. Huang He answered honestly. There are 2 of them? Yi Xian's eyes lit up. The old sect leader's strength was not weak. Moreover, the Water King Python was a level 4 Nirvana realm Tong Tian beast. It was not something that he could deal with now. However, he might be able to deal with eldest senior brother's bloodthirsty eagle because he had the Eye of the Soul and the Beast God's bloodline. How many level 1 Nirvana realm elite disciples are there in the Thousand Beast sect? Yi Xian asked. Including me, there are a total of 23. There are 3 level 2 Nirvana realm disciples and eldest senior brother is the strongest. Huang He replied. 23 level 1 Nirvana realm disciples? Yi Xian narrowed his eyes and said, Go back to the Thousand Beast sect and summon all the level 1 Nirvana realm disciples. Don't let anyone else find out. Huang He knew Yi Xian's plan and nodded before leaving. 23 level 1 Nirvana realm disciples and their Tong Tian beasts were enough to deal with eldest senior brother. Of course, some of them were not in the Thousand Beasts sect, but it did not matter as long as 15 of them showed up. This town was very close to the Thousand Beasts sect. With Huang He's speed, he could reach the Thousand Beasts sect in half a minute. However, it took time to summon the others. As for how to summon them, it was simple. He just had to summon one of them every few minutes and tell them Yi Xian's location. This way, they would be controlled by Yi Xian one by one and would not bump into each other. In less than an hour, 15 people were controlled by Yi Xian, including their Tong Tian beasts. These 15 were the elites of the Thousand Beasts sect. Their Tong Tian beasts were all at the Nirvana realm and were not weak. In total, there were only 30 of them. In addition to Huang He, there were 16 people and 16 beasts. At the same time, their interspatial rings were emptied by Yi Xian. If he had not accepted the level-up mission, he would have broken through to the level 2 Nirvana realm. Sigh, how regretful. Yi Xian sighed helplessly. If the heavens gave him another chance, he would not have accepted the level-up mission. However, the harder it was to level up, the better the reward. He might even be rewarded with 10 Devour points. These 16 disciples were brought out of the town by Yi Xian. Among the 16 of you, who has the best relationship with eldest senior brother? Yi Xian asked. When they heard this, everyone turned to look at Huang He. Huang He and eldest senior brother Huang Long were from the same Huang family. The latter was the former's cousin, so naturally, they had a good relationship. Huang He was still trying to guess what Yi Xian was trying to do. Now he finally understood. Yi Xian wanted to make a move on eldest senior brother Huang Long. No, to be precise, he wanted to make a move on Huang Long's bloodthirsty eagle. His goal was to obtain the Myriad Beast's fire. The Myriad Beast's fire was born in a Tong Tian beast's body. If it was forcefully extracted, it would cause a drop in strength or even death. However, Yi Xian did not care so much. It was natural selection, and the weak would be the first to be eliminated. Huang He, go and get your eldest senior brother. He's at the Sky Sparrow Mountain, Yi Xian said to Huang He. The Sky Sparrow Mountain was near the Thousand Beasts sect, so it would take about half an hour to get there. Most importantly, Yi Xian came from the Sky Sparrow Mountain, so there was a positioning point there. Yes. Huang He was under his control, so he did not dare to be negligent. After answering, he turned around and left. Chapter 1362. After some time, Huang He, who was riding on the white-haired golden ape, arrived with a person in tow. This person was riding on the back of a scarlet eagle as they flew into the Sky Sparrow mountain range. Is this the Thousand Beast sect's senior brother, Huang Long? With his eye of revelation, Yi Xian immediately saw through Huang Long's cultivation base. He was at the peak of the second level of the Nirvana realm. However, what caught his attention was not Huang Long, but the bloodthirsty eagle beneath his feet. There was indeed a ball of fire in the bloodthirsty eagle's body. It must be the Thousand Beasts' fire. I must obtain the Thousand Beasts' fire. Then I can break through to the Nirvana realm. Yi Xian paused for a moment before he ordered Huang He to land. Huang Long, who was following behind Huang He, was dressed in a yellow dragon-green robe. He directly flew up and landed on the ground. He asked, Huang He, did the auspicious spirit rhinoceros cub you mentioned appear in the Sky Sparrow mountain range? Senior brother, I'm certain. I saw it with my own eyes. Huang He nodded. The auspicious spirit rhinoceros that Huang Long mentioned was a heaven-reaching beast. It was at the Nirvana realm, but its grade was higher than the white-haired golden ape and the bloodthirsty eagle. If it grew to adulthood, it would be at least at the 4th level of the Nirvana realm. It was precisely because of this that Huang Long had left seclusion and hurried over. Then, the two of them searched the ground for the auspicious spirit rhinoceros tracks. As for the bloodthirsty eagle, it was circling in the air. At that moment, Yi Xian, who was hiding in the darkness, activated the death warrant. The death warrant had a cooldown of 1 day. Normally, Yi Xian would not use it. However, this mission was of utmost importance, so Yi Xian was not stingy with it. However, the target of the death warrant was not Huang Long, but the bloodthirsty eagle in the air. The bloodthirsty eagle was Yi Xian's true target because Yi Xian needed the Thousand Beasts' fire in the bloodthirsty eagle's body. However, the bloodthirsty eagle was a 3rd-level Nirvana realm heaven-reaching beast with a Thousand Beasts' fire in its body, so it was not easy to deal with. Senior brother, I see it. At that moment, Huang He's eyes flashed. He seemed to have discovered something and quickly pointed. What? Huang Long widened his eyes and immediately rushed out. However, just as he was passing by, Huang He and his subordinate white-haired Vajra suddenly attacked him. 100 Beast Worship. Huang He clenched his fists and punched out. At the same time, the white-haired Vajra also quickly rushed over and smashed down with its fist. Huang Long's eyes widened. He did not understand why Huang He would attack him. This unforeseen event was out of his expectations. Even though his cultivation level was higher than Huang He's, he still couldn't react in time. Bang! The yellow dragon was struck by the yellow crane and the white-haired Vajra in the shoulder. His bones were instantly shattered and his right arm was crippled. Huang He, what are you doing? Huang Long roared. As soon as these words were spoken, the bloodthirsty eagle in the air narrowed its eyes and swooped down. However, at this time, the elite disciples of the Thousand Beast sect who were hiding in the surroundings suddenly rushed out with their heaven-reaching beasts. There were a total of 30 figures. Their combined attacks directly intercepted the bloodthirsty condor. What? This time, Huang Long was so shocked that he was speechless. There were more than 10 of his fellow disciples hiding in the surroundings. Were they trying to kill him? Senior brother, you've been in the limelight recently. Someone is willing to pay for your life. A disciple of the Thousand Beasts sect shouted angrily. This sentence was to mislead Huang Long, making him think that these people were coming for him. However, what Huang Long did not know was that the bloodthirsty condor was the real target. As for Yi Xian, he was still hiding in the shadows and had no intention of making a move. Huang Long's heart sank. Figures flashed through his mind. These were the people who had gone against him in the Thousand Beasts sect. Humph, trash like you want to kill me? Huang Long snorted coldly and ordered the bloodthirsty condor to kill everyone. 100 beast worship. Including Huang He, 16 of the Thousand Beast sect's elites attacked Huang Long. There were also 16 heaven-reaching beasts at the first level of Nirvana realm. The bloodthirsty condor in the air was eager to protect its master, so it took the initiative to bear the brunt of the attacks. Fortunately, its cultivation level was high and its fur was extremely tough. Otherwise, it would have died under the attacks. However, the 100 beast worship was a fist technique, so it was able to severely injure the bloodthirsty condor. The bloodthirsty condor was also extremely powerful. When the heaven-reaching beasts attacked, it used its sharp wings to kill several of them. However, at this moment, the 16 elites of the Thousand Beast sect launched a second round of attacks. 100 beast worship. Huang Long did not dare to be careless in the face of such a powerful fist technique. He quickly climbed onto the bloodthirsty condor's back and shouted, "Run!" Although his cultivation level was higher than the 16 people around him, the bloodthirsty condor was also a third-level Nirvana realm-reaching beast. However, after being ambushed, their strength had dropped significantly. At this moment, it was best for him to escape and return to the Thousand Beasts sect. When the time came, he would let these people suffer the wrath of his master. However, at this moment, a figure suddenly appeared behind the bloodthirsty condor, which was also behind Huang Long. This figure was Yi Xian. Ice and Fire Dual Dragon Sword Array. Dual Dragon Sword Bell. Dual Dragon Roar of Ice and Fire. This series of attacks was completed in an instant. The Dual Dragon Sword Bell fell, enveloping Huang Long, and the bloodthirsty condor. Bas! A dragon's roar rang out. Huang Long felt a boom in his head. Even the bloodthirsty condor's body swayed and almost fell. Yi Xian had the beast god's bloodline in his body. His attacks could deal 70% more damage to heaven-reaching beasts. This dragon's roar reverberated within the dual dragon sword bell. If not for Huang Long and the bloodthirsty condor's high cultivation level, they would have been able to escape. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Yi Xian continued to attack. This move will finish you off. The two Yi Xian's eyes flashed as they attacked together. Dual Dragon Roar. A dragon's breath of ice and fire shot out, instantly engulfing Huang Long and the bloodthirsty condor. To be safe, he had also exchanged for 9th-level fragmentation realm-burning sky pills and freezing sky pills. This time, even a 3rd-level Nirvana realm expert would not be able to withstand the power of this attack. Ding! Host's killing intent has increased. Ding! Host's killing intent has increased. 2 system notifications rang out, and Yi Xian's killing intent skyrocketed. This proved that Huang Long and the bloodthirsty condor were already dead. After they died, Yi Xian quickly rushed over and used the strange flame lantern he had just exchanged for to store the 10,000 beasts flame. The 10,000 beasts flame was now in his hands. However, he did not immediately break through. Instead, he pondered over a problem. Using this method, I can kill experts below the elder level of the 10,000 beasts sect. Maybe I can increase my killing intent to the upper limit again and then exchange it for devour points. Chapter 1363. The upper limit of the killing intent value would increase with the increase of one's realm and the number of times one could exchange it for devour points. However, at this rate of increase, Yi Xian estimated that after a few more tries, he would reach the upper limit of the killing intent value. But after pondering for a short moment, he decided to give up. So long as he devoured this myriad beast flame, he would be able to break through to the rebirth realm, and then rely on devouring those treasures of the heavens and earth he obtained earlier to directly advance to the peak of the first level of the rebirth realm in one go. His strength could increase tenfold. In the Thousand Beasts sect, Tong Tian beasts at the third level of Nirvana realm could be counted on one hand, so he decided to break through to the Nirvana realm first. When the time came, he would reach the first level of Nirvana realm and reach the upper limit of his killing intent value. When he thought of this, he directly devoured the myriad beast flames. Ding! Host has devoured the fire of 10,000 beasts and completed the first stage of the special level-up mission. Ding! The host has made a breakthrough and is currently at the first level of the Nirvana stage. Ding! Special leveling up quest reward. Death Hunt Command's upper limit has been increased by 1. Ding! Luoluo has made a breakthrough. She is currently at the first level of the Nirvana stage. Ding! Wei Zhentian made a breakthrough and is now at the first level of Nirvana stage. Ding! The Devil Tree Battle Soldier had a breakthrough. It is currently at the first level of the Nirvana stage. Ding! Beast God Bloodline has evolved once. A series of system notifications rang out. Yi Xian was rooted to the ground. Nirvana realm. He had finally broken through to the Nirvana realm. At this moment, his strength had skyrocketed by at least 10 times. The reason why he chose to break through was because he was previously stuck at the 9th level of the fragmentation realm, causing his 3 companions to also be stuck at the 9th level of the fragmentation realm. Now that he had broken through, Luo and the others would no longer be restricted by their levels. Even though he wouldn't be able to break through to the 2nd level of the Nirvana realm so quickly, he could rely on Luo and the others to quickly find a second mysterious flame to level up. The reward for the special leveling up mission is indeed generous. Every time I complete it, I get a reward. I've earned a lot. Yi Xian's eyes lit up. The first reward was to increase the limit of the Death Hunt command. Now he could tag 2 people. As for the cooldown time, it was also 1 day. Very good. However, what he didn't expect was that the myriad beast flames would actually cause the beast god's bloodline to mutate. It was really a good benefit. Previously, he had collected quite a number of Qian Kuan rings. Now that he had obtained Huang Long's belongings, he immediately devoured them. Ding! Host has reached the peak of the first level of the Nirvana stage. Ding! Special level up requirement, Raging Flames of Wind and Thunder. Ding! Wei Zhentian has made a breakthrough. He is currently at the 2nd level of Nirvana stage. 3 system notifications sounded out in a row, causing Yi Xian to fall into silence. Breaking through from the 9th level of the fragmentation stage to the 1st level of the Nirvana stage required the myriad beast flame, which was ranked at the top of the exotic flame rankings. Now, if he wanted to break through from the 1st level of the Nirvana stage to the 2nd level of the Nirvana stage, he would require the Tempest Flame, which was ranked at the 98th level. The raging flames of wind and thunder were said to be born in some places with violent lightning, or in the body of some people who cultivated wind and thunder cultivation methods. It wasn't that easy to find the wrath of wind and lightning. Forget it, let's take one step at a time. Yi Xian shook his head helplessly and waved his hand. Hua! A ball of flame suddenly condensed in his palm. The ball of flame wasn't formed by true qi or the all creation's force. Instead, it was the Nirvana fire formed when he broke through to the Nirvana stage. I swallowed the myriad beast flame, so the Nirvana fire is probably comparable to the 2nd level of the Nirvana stage. In addition to the immortal phoenix bloodline, the peerless flame dragon slash and twin dragon roar would be extremely terrifying. Yi Xian thought to himself. At this moment, he really wanted to find a 3rd-level Nirvana stage martial artist to challenge him. Coincidentally, the Thousand Beast sect was a good place to do so. With my current strength, I have no problem dealing with a 3rd-level Nirvana stage martial artist. However, there are 4th-level Nirvana stage martial artists in the Thousand Beast sect. There might even be a 5th-level Nirvana stage martial artist. It's better to keep a low profile. Yi Xian thought to himself. He broke through the void and left with Huang He. As for the other 15 elites of the Thousand Beast sect and their heaven-reaching beasts, they were handed over to Luo. Soon, Yi Xian returned to the small town. He changed his appearance and was brought to the Thousand Beasts sect by Huang He. There are a total of 3 second-level Nirvana stage martial artists in the Thousand Beasts sect. The leader, Huang Long, is dead. The remaining one is out. With Yi Xian's current strength, he could control a second-level Nirvana stage martial artist in the Thousand Beasts sect. His current plan was to use the ores to raise Luo Luo, and Luo Luo's cultivation base. After a while, "Master, this is where senior brother Yin lives," Huang He said to Yi Xian. "All right, call him out." Yi Xian nodded. In his perception, there was only a third-level Nirvana stage martial artist. Moreover, he was far away, so there was no way he would be discovered. Knock, knock, knock. Huang He began to knock on the door. Soon, a young man opened the door. When he saw that it was Huang He, his expression changed and he shouted, "What are you doing here?" Senior brother Yin was not on good terms with Huang Long. As Huang He was Huang Long's younger brother, he was naturally on Huang Long's side. He was afraid that senior brother Yin was up to no good. Before Huang He could speak, Yi Xian immediately used his mind's eye. Ding! Control successful. The system notified. "All right, give me the interspatial ring," Yi Xian said without any trace of politeness. Senior brother Yin did not say anything and handed the interspatial ring to Yi Xian. Yi Xian glanced at it and found that there were not many things inside. He was surprised and asked, "Do you have anything else you want to hide?" "No, I've spent a lot of precious resources to nurture the Gale Mantis to second-level Nirvana stage." Senior brother Yin shook his head. "All right, lead the way. I want to visit all the second-level Nirvana stage martial artists in the Thousand Beasts sect," Yi Xian said to senior brother Yin. "Yes, master." Senior brother Yin nodded respectfully. "Huang He, investigate the 3 people I asked you to." Yi Xian turned to Huang He and said, "Yes." Huang He also responded. On the way to the Thousand Beasts sect, Yi Xian gave him 3 portraits. They were of the mysterious underworld duo demons and the Earth Fiend sect's elder Su Yang. After that, senior brother Yin left with Yi Xian. The Thousand Beasts sect was quite powerful. There were about 10 Nirvana stage protectors in the Thousand Beasts sect. Therefore, Yi Xian estimated that Wei Zhantian would be able to break through to the 3rd level of Nirvana stage after he controlled these 10 people. Next was Luo Luo, who had obtained the precious resources. She should be able to break through to the 2nd level of Nirvana stage within a day. After all, she had the help of the Eternal Earth Core Fire. Lastly was the Old Tree. With the help of the Eternal Earth Core Fire, she should be able to break through to the 2nd level of Nirvana stage within a day or 2. Chapter 1364. Of course, Yi Xian and the others only had the strength to fight a 4th-level Nirvana Realm expert. They were still far from being able to defeat a 4th-level Nirvana Realm expert. Under senior brother Yin's lead, Yi Xian visited the protectors one by one and obtained a large amount of wealth. Ding! Wei Zhantian has broken through. He is currently at the 3rd level of Nirvana Realm. After Yi Xian ordered people to exchange the treasures for ores, Wei Zhantian broke through as expected. There were many special sky-connecting beasts in the Thousand Beast sect, such as the mountain giant. They grew by eating ores, so no one would notice if they exchanged all the treasures for ores. Huang He also returned the moment Wei Zhantian broke through, but he didn't find anything. The mysterious underworld duo demons protectors were controlled by the will of charm since the beginning of the Bei clan. It's hard for others to find out. Yi Xian narrowed his eyes and decided to ignore the mysterious underworld duo demons. After all, he had already investigated the Yin Yang Temple. He had to rescue Song Suijing first. If he wanted to rescue Song Suijing and Adjudicator Song, he had to increase his strength first. As for the promise he made to Mo Shui, he would think about it later. You didn't find the culprit. What about the Raging Wind Lightning Flame? Yi Xian asked. There is news about the Raging Wind Lightning Flame. I heard that the sect master fought for the Raging Wind Lightning Flame last year, but failed. Huang He nodded. He heard this news from his master. Hearing this, Yi Xian's eyes lit up and immediately asked, "Fought for the Raging Wind Lightning Flame? With who?" "My master didn't say." Huang He shook his head. Some things couldn't be spread. Huang He was an elder's disciple, so he was able to find out about it. However, at least there was news about the Raging Wind Lightning Flame. This wasn't bad. Last year, he fought for the Raging Wind Lightning Flame, but failed. I hope the Raging Wind Lightning Flame hasn't been merged with someone. Yi Xian's heart trembled. He immediately ordered the people under his control to investigate the Raging Wind Lightning Flame. He was currently at the first level of Nirvana realm. If he wanted to break through to the second level, he needed the Raging Wind Lightning Flame. Otherwise, he would be stuck at the second level. After a while, a protector returned. "Master, I found it," the protector said respectfully. "Oh." Yi Xian was slightly surprised. Even Huang he did not understand. But this protector actually did? "My father is an elder." He said that the sect master fought with the Purple Mist Divine Cult's Grand Elder for the Wrath of Wind and Thunder last year. In the end, the Wrath of Wind and Thunder was taken away by the Grand Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Cult. The protector replied. Purple Mist Divine Church? Yi Xian took out a map from the devouring space. The Purple Mist Divine Sect was to the northwest of the 10,000 Beast Sect. With his speed, it would only take him a little more than a day to get there. In addition, the branch of the Yinyang Saint Palace was to the north of the 1,000 Beast Sect. With my current strength, even if I found a branch of the Yinyang Temple, it would be useless. Besides, the scriptures should be in the main hall. I'm too weak. I'll be digging my own grave if I go there. Yi Xian narrowed his eyes, put away the map, and prepared to make a trip to Violet Mist Divine Sect. The Violet Mist Divine Sect's strength was about the same as the 1,000 Beast Sects. With his current cultivation level, he had a chance to obtain the Wrath of Wind and Thunder. He immediately stood up and prepared to head to the Violet Mist Divine Sect. However, at this moment, a powerful aura suddenly entered the range of his senses. Third level Nirvana realm? Yi Xian raised his eyebrows and carefully sensed. He discovered that it was the peak of the third level Nirvana realm. Huh. Master, it's the sect master. The protector beside Yi Xian hurriedly whispered. Sect master? Hearing this, Yi Xian's heart trembled. Why is the sect master of the 1,000 Beasts sect here? The sect master of the 1,000 Beasts sect was a middle-aged man. He had already broken through to the 4th level Nirvana realm. However, when he fought with the Grand Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Cult for the Wrath of Wind and Thunder last year, he was poisoned by the Purple Mist Divine Cult and had yet to recover. Protector Yang, why are you investigating the Wrath of Wind and Thunder? The sect master of the 1,000 Beasts sect flew above Protector Yang's residence and questioned. Greetings, sect master. Protector Yang and Yi Xian hurriedly greeted him. Then the former replied, Sect master, when I went out earlier, I encountered a senior who was asking about the Wrath of Wind and Thunder, so... Senior? What's his cultivation level? The sect master of the 1,000 Beasts sect asked in surprise. I estimate that he's at least at the peak of the 3rd level Nirvana realm. It's even more likely that he's at the 4th level Nirvana realm. He's cultivating a Wind and Thunder divine ability, so he needs the Wrath of Wind and Thunder to increase the power of his divine ability. Protector Yang replied. At least at the peak of the 3rd level Nirvana realm? When he heard this, the sect master of the 1,000 Beast sect's eyes couldn't help but shine brightly. He said, Protector Yang, come with me. Yi Xian was the only one in Protector Yang's courtyard. The sect master of the 1,000 Beasts sect obviously didn't want Yi Xian to hear what he was about to say. Therefore, he called Protector Yang out alone. Yi Xian watched their backs as they left. He vaguely had a few guesses in his heart. The sect master of the 1,000 Beasts sect had once fought with the Grand Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Cult. He was accidentally poisoned by the Grand Elder, causing his cultivation to drop back to the 3rd level Nirvana realm. Therefore, he definitely held a grudge in his heart. Now that he knew that someone else also needed the Wrath of Wind and Thunder, he might be able to join forces with that person and steal the Wrath of Wind and Thunder. In the end, the Wrath of Wind and Thunder might not belong to him. However, he could still befriend an expert. This was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Soon, Protector Yang returned. Why did your sect master look for you? When he saw Protector Yang return, Yi Xian asked. The sect master knows where the Grand Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Cult is cultivating in seclusion. However, our 1,000 Beast sect has a bad relationship with the Purple Mist Divine Cult. If an expert enters the Purple Mist Divine Cult's territory, he'll definitely be discovered. Therefore, the sect master told me where the Grand Elder is cultivating in seclusion and told me to bring it to that senior. Protector Yang replied. After hearing this, Yi Xian felt a little helpless. He thought that the sect master of the Thousand Beasts sect would help him. Now, it seemed that he had to rely on himself. By the way, the sect master also said that both sides suffered in the battle last year. The Grand Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Cult was also severely injured. Protector Yang added. Is that so? The corners of Yi Xian's lips curled up slightly. If he was recuperating, then the Grand Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Cult might have fallen to the third-level Nirvana realm like the sect master of the Thousand Beasts sect. Very good. Then where is the Grand Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Cult? Yi Xian asked. It's in the poisonous abyss. After Protector Yang finished speaking, he began to explain. There are countless poisonous creatures in the poisonous abyss. It's also filled with poisonous fog. Even a third-level Nirvana realm expert would be in danger if they entered. However, the Grand Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Cult is an expert in using poison. This seclusion location is very advantageous for him. Chapter 1365. The most dangerous place was also the safest place. Yi Xian also felt that the poison abyss was a good choice. He originally thought that he would have to make a trip to the Purple Mist Divine Sect, but he did not expect that there would be no need. The poison abyss was west of the Thousand Beasts sect, and it would only take half a day to reach it. All right, wait for my orders in the Thousand Beasts sect. I will need your help when the time comes. Yi Xian nodded. Yes, Master. Guardian Yang nodded. Including senior brother Yin, there would be 11 second-level Nirvana realm martial artists and many sky-reaching beasts. Yi Xian and the other 3 people combined had the strength to fight a 4th-level Nirvana realm martial artist. With their help, it should not be a problem to deal with the Grand Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Sect. Immediately, Yi Xian started to hurry on his way. Ding! Luo Luo has broken through. She is currently at the 2nd-level Nirvana realm. Ding! Devil Tree Battle Soldier has broken through. He is currently at the 2nd-level Nirvana realm. On the way to the Poison Abyss, Yi Xian also heard 2 system notifications. He originally thought that Luo Luo and the Old Tree would need at least a day to break through. He did not expect them to break through in half a day. That's right, the bloodline in my body is not the Divine Tree of Life, but the Immortal Phoenix bloodline, which is of a higher grade. That's why the Old Tree's cultivation speed is faster. Yi Xian suddenly recalled this matter. However, after half a day of hurrying, he had already arrived at the Poison Abyss. Ordinary people would not dare to enter the Poison Abyss, but I have the Immortal Phoenix bloodline. My detoxification ability is stronger than the Divine Tree of Life's bloodline. It is a piece of cake for me to pass through. Yi Xian thought to himself as he stepped into the Poison Abyss. Although the Poison Abyss was called an abyss, it was actually a dark underground cave. Fortunately, it was nighttime, and there was the effect of the assassination mode, so his speed was faster. Of course, even if it was not nighttime, the assassination mode would still be effective in such a dark environment. The Grand Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Sect was in seclusion somewhere in the Poison Abyss. Yi Xian relied on his extraordinary perception ability to search for the Grand Elder. Of course, he also released Megatron and the Old Tree to search together. There were indeed many poisonous creatures in the Toxic Abyss, and there were even Nirvana Realm Tong Tian beasts. Their corpses were also a fortune for Yi Xian, but Yi Xian was already at the peak of the 1st level of the Nirvana Realm. If he devoured them, he would only obtain a Super Devour Crystal and not increase his cultivation. Therefore, it was very wasteful. Moreover, if he made a move to kill these heaven-reaching beasts, he might inadvertently alert the enemy. Therefore, these heaven-reaching beasts were all charmed by Luo Luo. 2 of the 2nd-level Nirvana stage poisonous creatures were even controlled by Yi Xian's Eye of the Heart. Although this poisonous abyss was only a catacomb, the underground extended in all directions. It was terrifyingly huge. Yi Xian searched for more than an hour before he found a strange place. This was a narrow gap that could only allow one person to pass through sideways. However, at the end of this small gap, there was a formation set up. If not for Yi Xian's powerful perception, he might not have discovered this strange place. Finally found it. Yi Xian raised an eyebrow and immediately called Wei Zhentian and the Old Tree back. Then, he said in his mind, Wei Zhentian, transform into a scorpion and go in to take a look. Wei Zhentian nodded and immediately transformed into a small green scorpion that was only the size of an index finger. Then, it poked with its pincers and passed through the formation. After entering, it would report back to Yi Xian. Alright, you can also exchange for a skill that allows you to share your vision with other creatures. At this moment, Xian suddenly remembered something and immediately used the Super Devour Crystal to exchange for the skill. Good skills required Devour points. However, the ability to share the vision of the target was not a big deal, so the Super Devour Crystal could be bought. Then, Xian could see through Wei Zhentian's eyes and see what was inside the formation. So there's another world. Xian's eyes lit up. There was a huge space behind the formation. It seemed like the great elder of the Purple Mist Divine Sect had hollowed it out. In addition, there was a large amount of poisonous creatures inside. It seemed like the poison formation was set up by the great elder of the Purple Mist Divine Sect. As soon as Wei Zhentian entered, a black scorpion the size of a palm drilled out of a small gap and attacked Wei Zhentian with its pincers. Crack! Wei Zhentian suddenly enlarged and directly cut the little black scorpion in half. A poisonous scorpion at the first level of the Nirvana realm dared to cause trouble for Wei Zhentian. It was courting death. However, this crisp sound attracted the attention of a dark-faced old man in the depths of the cave. There are no third-level Nirvana realm Tongtian beasts in the poisonous abyss. Who broke into my cave? The dark-faced old man thought. He was the great elder of the Purple Mist Divine Sect, Xian's target this time. Immediately, he spread out his spiritual sense and probed. The size of the cave was exactly the same as the size of his spiritual sense. This was intentional. Soon, he discovered Wei Zhentian, who had broken into the poison formation he had set up. A second-level Nirvana realm Tongtian beast? The dark-faced old man was slightly surprised. The defensive formation he had set up could not allow a second-level Nirvana realm Tongtian beast to enter. However, he did not immediately associate Wei Zhentian with a third-level Nirvana realm Tongtian beast. At this moment, Wei Zhentian was on a killing spree. He was destroying the poison formation. The poisonous insects, grass, and creatures were all being dispersed by him. You bastard! How dare you touch my poison formation? The great elder of the Purple Mist Divine Sect shouted in a low voice. He immediately shot out and threw a punch. Rumble! A loud sound echoed in the cave. Wei Zhentian was killed by the great elder of the Purple Mist Divine Sect with a single punch. This scene fell into Xian's eyes through the vision sharing. The great elder of the Purple Mist Divine Sect was not at the peak of the third-level Nirvana realm. He was at the fourth-level Nirvana realm. Xian's expression was slightly unsightly. Previously, the sect leader of the Thousand Beasts sect had said that they had fought a great battle last year for the Raging Wind and Thunderflame. In the end, both sides suffered great losses. The great elder of the Purple Mist Divine Sect had won by a small margin and left with the Raging Wind and Thunderflame. Now, the great elder of the Purple Mist Divine Sect was at the fourth-level Nirvana realm. Could it be that he had recovered? Wei Zhentian has the vision sharing, but he can't use the Eye of Revelation. I can't see if he has the Raging Wind and Thunderflame in his body. Xian narrowed his eyes. Then his eyes flickered. He tore open the void and brought those people over. There were 10 second-level Nirvana realm protectors. Including senior brother Yin, there was one first-level Nirvana realm protector. Including Huang He, there was also the first-level Nirvana realm protector. In addition, there were 15 small Tongtian beasts and 2 second-level Nirvana realm poisonous creatures that Xian controlled after entering the poison abyss. Chapter 1366. This formation blocked the detection of spiritual awareness, so the Grand Elder did not know that a large number of experts were lying in ambush outside. If he passed through the formation, he would be attacked by all of them. Xian was also waiting outside. He had clones, so he did not consume the Burning Sky Pill and Freezing Sky Pill separately. As long as the Grand Elder came out to check the situation, he would attack immediately. Inside the cave. It seems like I have to set up a new formation and poison formation. The Grand Elder muttered. The Great Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Sect murmured as he flew towards the formation. However, the moment he passed through the formation, he suddenly sensed a powerful aura. What? The Grand Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Sect was stunned. Why were there so many people outside? While he was still in shock, Xian and the others' eyes flashed. Attack! Ice and Fire Twin Dragons Sword Formation. Twin Dragons Roar. The two Xian attacked at the same time. Their attacks reached the Grand Elder in the blink of an eye. Oh no! The Grand Elder's expression changed. He quickly circulated his true energy and merged it with the 10,000 mammoths' force and nirvana fire to form a flaming barrier. At the same time, he quickly retreated and passed through the defensive formation. Boom! The twin dragons roared and broke the formation first. Then, they slammed into the Grand Elder's flaming barrier. Following that, the crowd began to attack. Rumble! Suddenly, the poison abyss reverberated with loud noises as if it was about to collapse. Even a 4th-level Nirvana stage expert would not be able to block the joint attack of so many people. However, the Grand Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Sect was not that simple. His flaming barrier also had the effect of wind and lightning. The wrath of wind and lightning. He had merged with it. F***CK. Yi Xian could not help but curse. With the Eye of Revelation, he saw a strange flame in the Grand Elder's body. It was the wrath of wind and lightning. This was a tragedy. He was afraid that something like this would happen, so he rushed over without stopping. However, he was still too late. That's not right. Along with the wrath of wind and thunder, it hasn't been completely refined yet. At this time, Yi Xian's eyes suddenly lit up. He immediately rushed into the cave as if he had seen hope. Originally, the Grand Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Cult would not have been able to block this round of attacks. However, he had already fused with the Raging Wind Thunder Flame, which greatly increased his physique. Adding on the effects of the Raging Wind Thunder Flame, he was able to block the attacks. However, now that the formation had been broken, everyone had rushed into the cave. The Great Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Sect was still retreating when a figure suddenly emerged from the ground. The figure then scissored the Great Elder's leg. Hiss! With a crisp sound, more than half of the Purple Mist Divine Cult's Chief Elder's heel was cut off. Blood gushed out. The Purple Mist Divine Cult's Great Elder was focused on defending against the attacks in front of him, but he was ambushed by Wei Zhentian. However, this was not the end. While the Great Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Cult was still in shock, vines extended from the ground and bound his legs. Break! He roared angrily, and a nirvana fire gushed out of his body, burning the vines to ashes. Then he roared furiously. Who are you? We're here to take your life. Yi Xian roared and attacked again. Twin Dragon Roar. Boom! The dragon breath of ice and fire engulfed the Great Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Cult. The Immortal Phoenix Bloodline, Sword God Bloodline, Burning Sky Pill, and Freezing Sky Pill increased the power of the Twin Dragon Roar. However, the Great Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Cult was not to be trifled with. With the effects of the Raging Wind Thunder Flame in his body, he actually managed to block this round of attacks. Next, it was Yi Xian's group of helpers' turn to attack. Boom! 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 The flame barrier formed by the Nirvana fire was weakened bit by bit. The Great Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Cult had a gloomy expression. He did not expect that a 4th-level Nirvana realm expert like him would be suppressed to this extent. It was simply humiliating. You bunch of trash still want to kill me? Accept the baptism of wind and thunder. Suddenly, the Great Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Cult roared at the sky. The raging wind thunder flame in his body pulsed rapidly. His aura became terrifying. Middle-grade Nirvana Realm Super Ability. Wind Thunder Explosion. Boom! Countless wind blades and lightning flashed. The group of first-level Nirvana Realm geniuses and heaven-reaching beasts of the Thousand Beasts sect were either sliced to death or turned into charred corpses. This move instantly killed more than 20 Nirvana Realm beings. It was clear how powerful it was. If Yi Xian's group had not suppressed it so fiercely, the Great Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Cult would have been able to at least double its power. Under this move, only a few people survived. Even the first-level Nirvana Realm Huang He and his subordinate, the white-haired Vajra, who was known for his defense and strength, had died. Not to mention them, even 2 second-level Nirvana Realm Protectors had died. However, Yi Xian was alive and well. I didn't want to use it, but it seems like I have no choice. Hidden in the corner, Yi Xian's eyes suddenly flashed. Then the scarlet word, kill, appeared above the Great Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Cult. Death Hunt Command. Eye of Assassination. In an instant, Yi Xian appeared behind the Great Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Cult. What? The Great Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Cult trembled. Previously, he had covered his back with his spiritual sense, but there was no one behind him. Why did one suddenly appear? Killing Intent Explosion. Peerless Flame Dragon Slash. A golden flame dragon suddenly shot out and swallowed the Great Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Cult. In order to avoid the Great Elder's ultimate move, Xian was forced to cancel the effects of the freezing sky pill and merge with his body. Now that he had used the Eye of Assassination, there was no time for his clone to use the Twin Dragon Roar. Hence, he could only use the Peerless Flame Dragon Slash. In terms of power, the Twin Dragon Roar was much stronger. However, if the Great Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Cult was given enough time, he could defend himself. The sneak attack might not succeed. Hence, Xian chose to use the Peerless Flame Dragon Slash and the Eye of Destruction as a combo. Boom! The Golden Flame Dragon still failed to kill the Great Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Cult. Even the Eye of Destruction and the hidden Wei Zhentian failed. The Great Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Cult was indeed powerful. However, if Xian was at the second level of the Nirvana realm, he would probably be dead already. Die, brat! At this moment, the Great Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Cult suddenly roared. His aura surged. Middle-grade Nirvana mystique. Explosion of wind and thunder. But right at this critical moment, a golden flash of light struck. 9 flash of reincarnation. 4th flash. Swish! With a crisp sound, the Great Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Cult's ultimate move was interrupted. His eyes widened as his head rolled off his neck. He saw his own headless corpse. Chapter 1367. Well done. Xian couldn't help but praise. The person who killed the Great Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Sect was naturally one of Xian's trump cards, Luo Luo. Just now, Luo Luo had been hiding outside, used 3 Samsara Flash to accelerate, and then successfully killed the Great Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Sect. Ding! Host's killing intent has increased. When the system notification rang out, the headless corpse of the Grand Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Sect suddenly fell to the ground. Then, Wei Zhentian pried open the chest of the Grand Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Sect. Looking at the throbbing raging thunderstorm flame on the Grand Elder's chest, Xian used his 10,000 mammoth power to store it away. The raging thunderstorm flame was ranked 98th on the mysterious flame list. Its power was much weaker than the eternal earth core flame. With Xian's physique, he could get close to it. The raging thunderstorm flame has been refined a little. I wonder if it meets the system's requirements. Xian was a little nervous and hesitant. He had killed a Nirvana Stage 4th level expert with his first level Nirvana Stage cultivation, and obtained a large amount of killing intent. Should he wait until his killing intent reached the upper limit and then exchange it for devour points? If he wanted to reach the upper limit, he would probably have to kill a few more 4th level Nirvana Stage experts. There might be 5th level Nirvana Stage experts in the Thousand Beast Sect and Purple Mist Divine Sect. If he attacked, he would definitely be beaten to death. Forget it. It's just a few devour points. It's more important to increase my cultivation first. After thinking about it, Xian directly used the special devour ability on the raging thunderstorm flame. Ding! Host has devoured the raging thunderstorm flame. Ding! Host has broken through. Host is currently at the 2nd level of Nirvana Stage. Ding! Host has completed a special level-up mission. Reward: combining the 3 advancement paths of attribute, expansion, and growth speed. Host will advance once. When the system notification rang out, Luo Luo, Wei Zhentian, and Old Tree felt their strength suddenly increase by 10%. What's going on? Luo Luo and the other 2 looked at each other in confusion. This was the reward for breaking through to the 2nd level of Nirvana Stage. Although Xian didn't improve, it was already pretty good. Don't be surprised, Xian said with a smile. After hearing this, Luo Luo and the other 2 understood that the reason was because of Xian. Although they did not know how Xian had done it, it was a good thing that they had all received a 10% increase in combat strength. Ha ha ha, I really didn't follow the wrong person. The Old Tree laughed loudly. Originally, he was only at the 4th level of the Fulfillment Realm, but after forming a contract with Xian, he actually grew all the way to the Fragmentation Realm and then the Nirvana Realm. It was simply unbelievable. After all, it had only been a few months. In the future, he might even become an immortal level tree, or even the rebirth state, the undead state, or even the reaching heaven state. After the death of the Purple Mist Divine Sect's Grand Elder, Xian took his universe ring and devoured the good stuff inside without hesitation. Regretfully, This universe ring was unable to allow him to break through to the peak of the second level of the rebirth stage. It seems that only those who have broken through to the peak of the second level of the rebirth stage will know the specific level-up method. Yixian sighed. Then put the corpse of the dead into the planting space and buried it properly. Then, he put the Nirvana realm heaven-reaching beasts into the planting space. Ding! The planting space's level has increased. It is now level 4. At this time, the system suddenly notified. The planting space had increased. So taking in heaven-reaching beasts will give experience. The stronger the heaven-reaching beasts, the more experience. If I take in all the heaven-reaching beasts of the 1,000 Beasts sect... Yixian narrowed his eyes and suddenly thought of a plan. He suddenly turned his head and asked, Luo, do you want the 10,000 Beasts fire? Of course I do. I'm a member of the Fox clan, and this 10,000 Beasts fire can increase my strength. Its effect may be even better than this raging flames of wind and thunder. Luo nodded. Yixian smiled and said, All right, then I'll help you get it. Young master, you. Luo was a little surprised because the previous 10,000 Beasts fire had already been devoured by Yixian. Could it be that there was another one? Previously, when Yixian asked Huang He, the latter said that the 1,000 Beasts sect had a total of 10,000 Beasts fire. One was in Huang Long's bloodthirsty eagle, and the other was in the Water King Python of the 1,000 Beasts sect master. Therefore, Yixian's target this time was the Water King Python. This planting space has already been upgraded to level 4. The planting space is much bigger and the yuan qi of heaven and earth is much more abundant. Luo and Old Tree will probably break through to the 3rd level of Nirvana realm soon. However, I'm already at the 2nd level of Nirvana realm, so I don't need to wait for them to break through. Yixian thought to himself, then broke through the void and returned to the 1,000 Beasts sect. In the 1,000 Beasts sect, there were a total of 5 elders who were at the 3rd level of Nirvana realm. With Yixian's current level, it would not be a problem for him to control all of them. In addition, the 1,000 Beast sect master was also at the peak of the 3rd level of Nirvana realm. As long as he controlled them, Yixian would have the guts to fight the old sect master. The old sect master was already over 200 years old and had always been in seclusion. He might have already reached the 5th level of Nirvana realm. Therefore, Yixian had to be careful. After Yixian returned to the 1,000 Beast sect, he went to visit the elders one by one. Ding! Control successful. Ding! Control successful. Ding! Control successful. As a 2nd-level Nirvana realm martial artist, it was extremely easy for him to control a 3rd-level Nirvana realm martial artist. Unfortunately, one of the elders was away, so he could not control them. However, with the addition of the 1,000 Beast sect master, there were exactly 5 of them. Now, 4 of the elders were controlled by Yixian and all of their belongings were taken away by Yixian. However, due to the restriction, he could only break through to the peak of the 2nd level of Nirvana realm. If I want to break through to the 3rd level of Nirvana realm from the peak of the 2nd level of Nirvana realm, I need the Icebound Flame, which is ranked 95 on the exceptional flame list. Looks like I have to look for it again. Yixian sighed and shook his head. The Icebound Flame was born in an extremely cold place, so it was easier to find than the Raging Wind Lightning Flame. However, he had to do something important first. Yixian disguised himself as an elder and entered the residence of the 1,000 Beast sect master. Elder Xia, are you looking for me? The 1,000 Beast sect master asked in surprise. However, in the next moment, he frowned. Mind's eye. Ding. Control failed. Yixian had already calculated that he would fail the first time, so he quickly used it again. Ding. Control failed. This time, Yixian was shocked. Previously, he had only used his Eye of Soul twice to control the 4 elders, but this 1,000 Beast sect leader actually required 3 times? Elder Xia, what are you doing? Chapter 1368. Ding. Control failed. Mind's Eye failed for the 3rd time. Why? At this moment, Yixian recalled that the 1,000 Beast sect leader used to be a 4th-level Nirvana realm expert. Later on, he fought with the Grand Elder of the Purple Mist Divine sect and was poisoned. That was why he fell to 3rd-level Nirvana realm and had yet to recover. He was indeed at 3rd-level Nirvana realm, but his soul was still at 4th-level Nirvana realm. You're not Elder Xie. The 1,000 Beast sect leader's face darkened. He finally noticed something. However, at this moment, Yixian suddenly made his move. Killing intent explosion. Peerless flame dragon slash. A golden flame dragon flew out and attacked the Thousand Beasts sect leader. Since he was already exposed, there was no need to hide anything. As long as he severely injured the Thousand Beasts sect leader and damaged his soul, he could be controlled. The Thousand Beasts sect leader was only at the peak of 3rd level Nirvana realm. Facing Yi Xian's peerless flame dragon slash, he was instantly burned and severely injured. One should know that Yi Xian's Thousand Beasts fire and furious thunderstorm flame had improved his Nirvana fire. In addition to the improvement of his bloodline, he possessed the strength to fight against a 4th level Nirvana realm expert, let alone the Thousand Beasts sect leader. Mind's Eye. Ding! Control failed. Yi Xian used Mind's Eye for the 4th time, but it still failed. I don't believe it. Yi Xian's eyes flickered as he continued to use Mind's Eye. However, this time, he did not use it to control, but to attack the Thousand Beasts sect leader's soul. At this moment, the Thousand Beasts sect leader felt his head buzzing. He was in a daze and his combat strength was less than 70%. However, Yi Xian's territory was the Thousand Beasts sect. Behind the Thousand Beasts sect leader's residence was a 3rd level Nirvana realm Tong Tian beast. This Tong Tian beast was called the Six-Armed Ape. It had 6 arms and was extremely strong. When the Thousand Beasts sect leader was injured, it jumped out and waved its 6 fists at Yi Xian's face. How dare a mere Tong Tian beast find trouble with me? Yi Xian's eyes flashed as he struck again. Killing intent explosion. Peerless flame dragon slash. The 6-armed ape thought that it could disperse the golden flame dragon, but it didn't expect to be engulfed in an instant and then burned to ashes. Instant kill. Yi Xian had killed the 6-armed ape, who was at the peak of the 3rd layer of Nirvana realm. This time, the peerless flame dragon slash was much stronger than the peerless flame dragon slash he had used against the Thousand Beasts sect sovereign. This was because Yi Xian had the beast god's blood in his body. The beast king's deterrence in the beast god's bloodline increased Yi Xian's damage to scare each beasts by 80%. Ding! Host's killing intent has increased. A system notification sounded. Yi Xian's gaze landed on the leader of the Thousand Beasts sect as he activated his Eye of the Heart again. So what if he was once at the 4th level of the Rebirth realm? Wasn't he beaten to the point of being unable to fight back in front of me now? However, Yi Xian must be dealt with as soon as possible. Otherwise, the commotion might attract the attention of the surrounding people. This didn't matter. What if the old sect leader came out and killed him? Eye of the Heart. Boom! Yi Xian attacked again. However, the difference in soul strength between the 3rd layer and the 4th layer of Nirvana realm was quite large. Yi Xian used his Eye of the Heart to attack several times, but he still couldn't control the Thousand Beasts sect sovereign. Who are you? The Thousand Beasts sect sovereign gritted his teeth and asked. At this time, his battle strength was estimated to be at 30%. He couldn't do anything to Yi Xian. You don't need to know. Yi Xian ignored him and directly turned into a stream of light and swept towards the Thousand Beasts sect sovereign, preparing to continue weakening his soul. But at this time, a figure with a powerful aura suddenly came from behind. Brat, you dare to be presumptuous in my Thousand Beasts sect? You're courting death. A shout entered Yi Xian's ears. Yi Xian sensed that it was only a 4th layer of Nirvana realm martial artist. This should be the Thousand Beasts sect's Grand Elder, a 4th layer of Nirvana realm martial artist. Yi Xian immediately reacted. However, he wasn't alone. He still had helpers. You 4 stop him. Yi Xian gave the order to the 4 elders under his control through the air. When he failed to control the Grand Elder earlier, he asked the 4 elders to come closer. Now that the Grand Elder had appeared, they were in charge of stopping him. 4 elders, what are you doing? The Grand Elder of the Thousand Beasts sect was shocked. He didn't understand why the 4 elders were stopping him. Could it be that they had betrayed him? The 4 elders were all at the 3rd layer of Nirvana realm. Their heaven-reaching beasts were also at the 3rd layer of Nirvana realm. There were a total of 8 of them. Although they were 1 level lower than the Grand Elder, they had the advantage in numbers. If the 8 of them worked together, it wouldn't be a problem to stop the Grand Elder. At this moment, Yi Xian had already stabbed several bloody holes in the Thousand Beasts sect leader's body to weaken his injuries. Mind's Eye. Boom! The Thousand Beasts sect leader was on the verge of a mental breakdown. His body was bleeding profusely, but he was holding on. With such a huge commotion, as long as he could hold on until his master arrived, Yi Xian would definitely die. His master was the Thousand Beasts sect leader. However, he probably wouldn't be able to hold on until then. Ding! Control successful. A system notification sounded. The Thousand Beasts sect leader had been controlled by Yi Xian. Next, it was time to deal with the fourth layer of Nirvana Realm Grand Elder. Previously, he heard that the Grand Elder wasn't here, so he didn't take it to heart. Now, it seemed that the Grand Elder had returned. However, at this moment, another aura appeared. This aura was very strong, but it wasn't from a human. It was a huge python with a diameter of 3 meters. As for its length, it was at least 100 meters. Fourth layer of Nirvana Realm, Aqua King Python. Yi Xian narrowed his eyes. This Aqua King Python's body really did contain the Thousand Beasts flame. At the same time, this was the purpose of his trip. Since the Aqua King Python appeared, then where was the Thousand Beasts sect leader? Yi Xian quickly scanned the surroundings with his eye of revelation, but he didn't find any powerful experts. Could it be that the sect leader wasn't here? Or maybe he was in seclusion and only sent the Aqua King Python to take a look after hearing the commotion. Since it's only a fourth layer of Nirvana Realm Tong Tian Beast, then it's much simpler. Yi Xian's lips curled up slightly. He didn't care about the Grand Elder anymore and directly aimed at the Aqua King Python with his peerless flame dragon slash. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The golden flame dragon whizzed out, but the Aqua King Python opened its mouth and spat out a jet of water, colliding with the golden flame dragon. Rumble! Water countered fire. In a series of rumbles, the golden flame dragon was extinguished. You may be able to block this move, but I'd like to see if you can block this move. Yi Xian suddenly made a clone. He and his clone consumed the burning sky pill and freezing sky pill at the same time. Ice and Fire Dual Dragon Sword Formation. Chapter 1369. The Twin Dragon Roar was Yi Xian's most powerful attack. It was even more powerful than the Storm of Swords and Serpent Sweep. The Water Serpent King was taken aback. It spat out another water column, but this time, it was much more powerful. Moreover, it contained the aura of ice, which instantly froze the water column into ice. Kacha! 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 A series of crisp sounds rang out. The frozen water column was blasted away by the Twin Dragon Roar. The Twin Dragon Roar finally landed on the Water Serpent King's head. Bang! With a loud bang, the Water Serpent King's body shook violently and fell backward. The Twin Dragon Roar was extremely powerful. Coupled with the Beast God bloodline and other factors, this attack was enough to severely injure the Water Serpent King. Next, I'll take your life. The two Yi Xian immediately executed the shadow of the Imperial Wind Dragon to the sky and attacked again. Twin Dragon Roar. Stop. When the Twin Dragon Roar erupted, a figure came from afar, but it was too late. Boom! The Twin Dragon Roar pierced through the sky and landed on the Water Serpent King's head again. Instantly, the Water Serpent King's head exploded. Ding! Host's killing intent has increased. Yi Xian immediately rushed down and took the Thousand Beasts fire from the Water Serpent King's body. Bastard! The elder in the distance had already rushed over. This dead Water Serpent King was something he had tamed with great difficulty. It had accompanied him for many years. Now that it had died at the hands of Yi Xian, it was even more painful than the death of his own son. Die! The Thousand Beast sect leader was enraged and slammed his palm down. Twin Dragon Roar. Yi Xian executed his ultimate move again. The recovery speed of the Immortal Phoenix bloodline allowed him to use the Twin Dragon Roar limitlessly. The Thousand Beast sect leader had not broken through to the 5th level of the Nirvana realm, but he was already at the peak of the 4th level. However, in the face of Yi Xian's powerful attack, his palm shadows were instantly crushed. What? The Thousand Beast sect leader was shocked. He quickly dodged the Dragon Roar. Otherwise, he would have been severely injured. A 2nd-level Nirvana stage martial artist was actually able to execute such a powerful attack. How was this possible? The Thousand Beast sect leader couldn't believe it. After being exposed, Yi Xian had returned to his original appearance. His face was extremely unfamiliar to the Thousand Beast sect's old sect leader. Where did this brat come from? Could it be the Yin Yang Temple? The Thousand Beast sect leader guessed. Yi Xian had fair skin and was quite handsome. Although he looked like a man, he might be a Yinyang person from the Yinyang temple because most Yinyang people looked like men. As long as the female's voice was not exposed, it would be hard to tell. In this area, the only force that could nurture such a genius was definitely the Yinyang temple. However, he didn't understand why the disciples of the Yinyang temple would come to the Thousand Beasts sect to cause trouble. Who are you? The Thousand Beasts sect's old sect leader could not help but ask. I only need the 10,000 beast flames. I'll take it and leave, Yi Xian replied calmly. Take it and leave? The Thousand Beasts sect leader suspected that he had misheard. Did Yi Xian think that the Thousand Beasts sect was a market where he could come and go as he pleased? Today, no matter who you are, you will die. The Thousand Beasts sect leader didn't want to waste any more words. Yi Xian had killed his heaven-reaching beast, so he had to take revenge. Even if Yi Xian was a Yinyang person from the Yinyang temple, he still had to die. Yi Xian had long since expected this. If the old sect leader of the 10,000 Beasts sect told him to turn around and leave, then that would be too cowardly. Twin Dragon Roar. Another powerful breath was released. However, this time, the Thousand Beasts sect leader had learned his lesson. He quickly dodged the attack and swept towards Yi Xian. Under such circumstances, Yi Xian didn't dare to split himself. He quickly merged with his body and his battle strength increased by 60%. Killing intent explosion. Unparalleled flame dragon slash. A golden flame dragon roared and attacked the Thousand Beasts sect leader. This time, the Thousand Beasts sect leader raised his hand to block the attack when he saw that the attack was weakened. However, what he had never expected was that there was a secret hidden within this golden flame dragon. Eye of Destruction. Bang! The Thousand Beasts sect leader's Nirvana Flames barrier was broken and Wei Zhentian suddenly attacked. Wei Zhentian was already at the third-level Nirvana realm when he was fighting with the Grand Elder of the Purple Mist Divine Sect. Now that Yi Xian had obtained so many good items, he had already broken through to the fourth-level Nirvana realm. This sword was extremely fast and directly pierced the Thousand Beasts sect leader's shoulder. Swish! At this moment, Wei Zhentian suddenly extended a large number of spikes and pierced the Thousand Beasts sect leader's shoulder into a sieve. At this moment, the Thousand Beasts sect leader realized that he had encountered a difficult opponent. Yi Xian was 2 levels lower than him, but he was suppressed and the one who was injured first was him who was at the peak of the fourth-level Nirvana realm. This made him lose face. However, this also strengthened his resolve to kill Yi Xian. However, at this moment, a dramatic change occurred in another battlefield in the distance. The Supreme Elder who was also at the fourth-level Nirvana realm suddenly let out a scream before he was attacked by the other Grand Elders. Ding! Host's killing intent has increased. A system notification sounded. Yi Xian turned his head in surprise and discovered that the Supreme Elder's sky-piercing beast had fallen. As for the Supreme Elder of the Thousand Beasts sect, he was actually ambushed by the Thousand Beasts sect leader and was heavily injured before he was captured. I don't want to be too ruthless. To be honest, I'm just a robber. I only want money, not lives. I'll leave as long as you give me your interspatial ring. Yi Xian suddenly said to the Thousand Beasts sect leader. You! The Thousand Beasts sect leader almost choked when he heard this. Yi Xian had brazenly robbed him and now he wanted to threaten him. How could he let him do as he wished? I'll give you 3 seconds. After 3 seconds, he'll die and I'll join forces with the others to attack you. Therefore, your decision concerns the fate of the Thousand Beasts sect. Yi Xian said slowly. The Thousand Beasts sect leader gritted his teeth and thought for a moment before he asked, Are they under your control? One of the Grand Elders was his son. It was impossible for him to betray the sect, so it must be Yi Xian's doing. That's right. After I leave, they'll return to normal. Yi Xian nodded. At this moment, a second had passed. If the Thousand Beasts sect leader still did not make a decision, the Supreme Elder would die. At that time, the Grand Elders and even the sect leader would fall. All right, here you go. The Thousand Beasts sect leader had no choice but to take off his interspatial ring and throw it to Yi Xian. After the latter received it, he checked it and found that there were many things missing. Good, very good. Yi Xian's lips curled slightly. He asked someone to take off the Supreme Elder's interspatial ring and put it away. Chapter 1370. Sure, but I want to ask you another question. After Yi Xian finished speaking, he paused and asked, Do you know where I can find the 95th ranked exceptional flame, the Icebound Flame? The Icebound Flame? The Thousand Beasts sect leader was stunned. Yi Xian stole something and now he's asking me a question? Is he kidding me? However, he still answered truthfully. I heard that the vice temple master of the Yin temple has the Icebound Flame. The Yin temple. Yi Xian's eyes lit up. It seemed like he was in luck. Of course, the Thousand Beast sect leader could have been lying and wanted Yi Xian to commit suicide. All right, goodbye. Yi Xian did not think much of it and left. After that, the Thousand Beast sect leader and the other elders regained consciousness. In this battle, there were no casualties. Only a few heaven-reaching beasts had fallen. Among them was the Thousand Beast sect leader's Water King Python. Even the Thousand Beasts' fire was taken. Of course they should rejoice. If Yi Xian was a cold-blooded killer, then today would be the day the Thousand Beast sect was annihilated. Although the Thousand Beast sect's first senior brother Huang Long was killed by him, it would not affect the Thousand Beast sect much. However, if the Thousand Beast sect leader, the Supreme Elder, and the other elders were killed by him, then the Thousand Beast sect would be in chaos. At that time, the Purple Mist Divine sect would definitely annihilate the Thousand Beast sect and become the overlord of this area. In that case, Yi Xian would be indirectly annihilating the Thousand Beast sect. He did not want to annihilate the entire sect. After learning about the Icebound Flame, he headed north directly. The Thousand Beast sect leader said that the vice temple master of the Yin temple had the Icebound Flame. He did not know if it was true, but it did not matter. After all, the Yin temple was Yi Xian's next target. He rushed at full speed and only spent a day to reach the boundary of the Yin temple's subtemple. During this day, Luo and the old tree broke through one after another. They both reached the third level of the Nirvana realm, but Wei Zhentian was the fastest. He had already reached the fifth level of the Nirvana realm. It was because of it that Yi Xian dared to go against the Yin temple. There are many Yin people in the Yin temple. I'll use my bewitching technique. Yi Xian squinted his eyes. The patriarch of the Bei clan of the 10,000 Treasures Alliance, Bei Yang, had been killed by him, but he had learned the illusory divine ability that Bei Yang had created. Now, he was going to use the illusory divine ability to make the Yin people of the Yin temple live in nightmares. At this moment, he was already in front of the Yin temple. Looking at the people coming and going, he narrowed his eyes. Now that he was observing with the eye of revelation, he realized that the internal environment of the Yin beings was completely different from that of ordinary people. There were actually two sets of organs in the Yin body. 2 hearts, 2 dantians, 2 souls, and 2 balls of nirvana fire. 2 people fused together. No wonder it was called a fusion. It was a forced fusion. 2 sets of organs in one body. It was a little too deformed. More importantly, both men and women had organs. How disgusting. Yi Xian couldn't help but shudder. He immediately made a decision. He was going to save these Yin people from the abyss of suffering. There were 2 ways. One was to kill them. The other was to disintegrate them. Of course, Yi Xian wanted to use the second way. Killing them wouldn't relieve his hatred. If you want to blame someone, blame the Yin ancestor. He immediately went over and used his Eye of the Soul to control a Yin person from afar. This Yin person was in the 3rd level of the Nirvana realm. He was within Yi Xian's range of control. This Yin person looked like a man. He was in his late 20s. He ran towards Yi Xian and arrived in front of Yi Xian in the blink of an eye. Introduce yourselves. Yi Xian asked straightforwardly. Nye Rong. My sister is Nye Xian. We are both 28 years old. We entered the Yin temple 20 years ago to cultivate the Saint Yin technique. 12 years ago, we successfully fused. Nye Rong started to introduce himself. After introducing himself, he introduced the Yin temple. Then let me ask you, who in the Yin temple has the Icebound Flame? Yi Xian continued asking. I heard that the Vice Palace Master of the Yin temple has one. I don't know if he has fused with it. Nye Rong answered. Just now, he introduced the situation of the Yin temple's sub-palace. There was a main palace master and 2 vice palace masters in this sub-palace. The 2 vice palace masters were in charge of the Yin temple and the Yang temple respectively. The Yin temple was usually a combination of an older sister and a younger brother, while the Yang temple was a combination of an older brother and a younger sister. If they were to compare, the Yang hall was much stronger than the Yin hall. Moreover, the Yin Yang temple's recruitment was very strange. The members had to be siblings. They couldn't have a third sibling. It was said that the Yin and Yang would be unbalanced. One body couldn't fuse with 3 people. Then, Yi Xian asked Nierong a few more things. Then he started to plan. First, he wanted to get the icebound flame if it hadn't been refined. Second, he wanted to find out the location of the Yin Yang temple's main palace. Third, he wanted to destroy this sub-palace. Because Nierong was already under his control, he could disguise himself as Nierong with the face-changing mask. He just didn't know if he would be exposed. To be safe, he went to control a 3rd-level Nirvana realm Yin Yang person and disguised himself as him. Then he asked Nierong to bring him in. What a tragedy. If I didn't accept the special level-up mission, I could have used the Eye of the Soul to destroy this sub-palace. Yi Xian, who was following behind Nierong, felt very helpless. Even if he had cultivation resources now, he couldn't break through. He could only give them to Luo Luo and the other 2. However, the Yin Yang temple wasn't weak. Nirvana realm disciples could be seen everywhere. There were also disciples who hadn't fused with their bodies, but they were generally in the fragmentation realm. I'll control some 2nd and 3rd level Nirvana realm disciples first and then investigate before I make a move. Yi Xian thought to himself. His plan was to use these disciples to investigate the icebound flame and raise Luo Luo's and the other 2's cultivation levels. He was currently at the peak of the 2nd-level Nirvana realm and could only fight with a 4th-level Nirvana realm disciple. If he added Luo Luo and the other 2, it shouldn't be a problem to deal with a 5th-level Nirvana realm disciple. However, in this sub-palace, just the elders alone were at the 4th or 5th-level Nirvana realm. Then, the 2 deputy palace masters and the main palace master might have reached the 6th-level Nirvana realm. Under Nierong's lead, Yi Xian controlled many 2nd and 3rd-level Nirvana realm disciples. There were about 30 of them in total. Then, he left the sub-palace. Chapter 1371. However, at this moment, 3 people suddenly flew out of the Yin Yang temple and successfully attracted Yi Xian's attention. What a powerful aura! They're at least at the 5th or 6th level of the Nirvana realm. Yi Xian raised his eyebrows and looked. When he saw the man and woman behind the leader, he couldn't help but tremble. The Xianming duo? Yi Xian widened his eyes in disbelief. How could the Xianming duo that he had been searching for be in the Yin Yang temple? Previously, he thought that the Xianming duo had died in the Fiend Earth sect. Later, he found out that the Fiend Earth sect's elder Su Yang had taken them through the Unfrozen Sea region, but he didn't know where they went. Now, the Xianming duo had actually appeared here. Could it be that someone in the Yin Yang temple had obtained the charm willpower paper and was preparing to escort them out? No, that couldn't be. Yi Xian immediately reacted because he saw that Nailin Bing and Nailin Jie had shackles that sealed off their vital energy. This meant that they had been captured. Right, they're also siblings. The Yin Yang temple is interested in them. Yi Xian suddenly thought of this problem. He had to admit that fate was really clever. It actually connected the Xianming duo and the Yin Yang temple together. The Xianming duo were rebirth travelers and were rebirth realm powerhouses in their previous lives. Although the Yin Yang ancestor was strong, he was at most in the immortality realm. After the immortality realm was the rebirth realm. There was a huge gap between the 2 realms. If the Xianming duo's reinforcements found out that they had been captured, the Yin Yang temple would definitely suffer a devastating blow or even be destroyed. Thinking of this, Yi Xian's expression changed because Song Sui Jing and Adjudicator Song were now in the Yin Yang ancestors' hands. What if Song Sui Jing and Adjudicator Song were exposed and implicated? Who was that? Yi Xian quickly focused on the middle-aged man who had flown away with the Xianming duo. That was the temple master, Nierong replied. Then where is he going? Yi Xian continued to ask. I'm not sure. Nierong shook his head. All of a sudden, Yi Xian had a premonition. Could it be that the branch hall master was sending the mysterious underworld duo demons to the main hall? At that moment, Yi Xian directly used the death pursuit order to mark Nailin Bing. But the aura of this branch hall master was exceedingly formidable, and he was probably an expert at the 6th level of the rebirth realm. Besides that, there were a few elders at the 4th or 5th level of the rebirth realm standing behind him. Therefore, Yi Xian had no chance at all. If the mysterious underworld duo demons are really being escorted to the main palace, then I don't need to ask for the location of the main palace. I can just follow the death warrant and find them, Yi Xian thought to himself. However, he did not have the strength to go to the main hall. What he needed to do now was to level up quickly. If he wanted to level up, he needed the icebound blaze. I hope that the icebound flame is still there and has not been completely refined. Yi Xian prayed in his heart. There was still the eternal earth core flame in his planting space. Perhaps it was the exceptional flame that he needed to break through to the 4th level of the rebirth realm. Then, as long as he obtained the icebound flame, he could quickly break through to the 3rd level of the rebirth realm and reach the peak of the 3rd level of the rebirth realm by devouring it. If he devoured the eternal earth core flame, he could instantly break through to the 4th level of the rebirth realm. At that time, he could catch up with the branch hall master of the Yin-Yang temple and kill everyone, including the mysterious underworld duo demons. Firstly, he could avenge Mo Shui. Secondly, the matter of the mysterious underworld duo demons being captured could be covered up. The Yin-Yang temple would not be destroyed, and Song Sui-Jing and Adjudicator Song would be fine. Yi Xian watched as Nalan Bing and the others disappeared into the distance. His eyes flickered, and he directly broke through the void, bringing the 32nd and 3rd level rebirth Yin-Yang people to a mountain range that was some distance away from the branch hall of the Yin-Yang temple. All of you from the Yin hall, step forward. Then, 8 women stepped forward. 5 of them were at the 2nd level of the rebirth realm, while the other 3 were at the 3rd level of the rebirth realm. The members of the Yin hall were a combination of older sisters and younger brothers, so they maintained the appearance of older sisters. Who knows the vice hall master of the Yin hall? Yi Xian immediately asked. As soon as he said that, everyone's gazes landed on a beautiful woman. This woman looked normal, but she was a Yin-Yang person, which meant that her younger brother was in her body. Ordinary people would feel their stomach churning when they thought of this. However, Yi Xian put aside his prejudice and asked directly, "You know the vice hall master of the Yin hall?" "Master, I'm called Chong Ling. The vice hall master of the Yin hall is my master." The woman nodded. "Then, do you know about the icebound flame?" Yi Xian asked again. "Yes." The woman continued to nod, and then explained, "My master has had the icebound flame for many years, but the icebound flame's attribute is water. She doesn't dare to fuse it with her body because it will cause the yin and yang to be disrupted. Therefore, she has been looking for the flame of fury and the eternal earth core flame, hoping to balance them." "So, she didn't fuse with the icebound flame?" Hearing this, Yi Xian's eyes lit up. The flame of fury's attribute was fire, and its ranking was close to the icebound flame. Besides, the eternal earth core flame was also possible. No, she just cultivated beside the icebound flame. The woman shook her head and replied, "Great." Yi Xian suddenly revealed a hopeful expression and thought in his heart, since the vice hall master of the Yin hall needs the eternal earth core flame, I can use the eternal earth core flame to lure her out. However, the vice hall master of the Yin hall was at the 6th level of the Nirvana realm. Yi Xian's strength wasn't enough to deal with her. Yi Xian immediately collected everyone's interspatial rings. These Yin-Yang people were the elites of the Yin-Yang temple, and their masters were mostly elders. Therefore, they didn't lack cultivation resources. The things inside were enough to create a 5th level Nirvana realm expert. Wei Zhentian is currently at the 5th level of the Nirvana realm, while Luo Luo and the old tree are at the 3rd level of the Nirvana realm. Due to my problem, the old tree has a hard time improving, so I can only stack Luo Luo up first. Yi Xian pondered for a moment, and said to the vice hall master of the Yin hall, "Chong Ling, return to the Yin-Yang temple and exchange these treasures for ores, and half of them for cultivation elixirs." These things were useless to Yi Xian, so Yi Xian decided to raise Wei Zhentian's cultivation to the 6th level of the Nirvana realm. However, he might not be able to contend with the vice hall master, so he still needed Luo Luo's help. If Luo Luo broke through to the 4th level of the Nirvana realm, then he would have confidence. "Yes." The woman named Chong Ling nodded, and then she passed through the Eye of Void that Yi Xian opened and returned to the Yin-Yang temple. Chapter 1372. Soon, Chong Ling returned with a large amount of ores and cultivation elixirs. Although the treasures were good, the cultivation elixirs were easier to absorb. Luo Luo's refining ability was already strong, and with the help of the eternal earth core fire, she could break through to the 4th level of Nirvana realm in half a day. As for Wei Zhentian, ding! Wei Zhentian broke through. He is currently at the 6th level of Nirvana realm. After Yi Xian swallowed all the ores, Wei Zhentian broke through. Yi Xian was stuck at the 2nd level of Nirvana realm. After swallowing all the ores, he would only benefit from the Super Devour Crystal. His cultivation would not improve at all. It was indeed a waste, but he had no other choice. Next, Yi Xian was going to test something. You, come out, Yi Xian said to a man at the 2nd level of Nirvana realm. The man stepped forward without saying a word. Then, Yi Xian's eyes flashed. He used the bewitching technique that he had learned from Bai Yang's wife, Bai Lin's tomb. In the next moment, the man's face started to turn red as he saw something. Everyone looked at them and suddenly had a bad premonition. Brother. Sister. Suddenly, 2 different voices came out from the man's throat. One was his own voice, and the other was the voice of his sister in his body. This was just an appetizer. Next, Yi Xian would get serious. Bewitching technique. In the next moment, everyone was dumbfounded. The man's clothes were suddenly torn apart by a fierce vital energy. Then his body started to change. His back swelled rapidly as though a tumor had grown. It was as though there was a person standing back to back with him. No, this tumor was the man's sister. At this moment, the sister's organs had already grown out. Even her hair had grown out. In the end, their skin broke apart and they were split into 2. The sister stood there motionless. Her eyes were wide open and her face was red. She was in disbelief. She had been with her brother for many years. Now they were disintegrated? She was a disciple of the Yin Yang Temple. She knew that once a Yin Yang person disintegrated, the success rate of merging again was less than 1%. However, Yi Xian was their master now, so they didn't dare to say anything. Most people who saw this scene would be disgusted to the point of vomiting, but Yi Xian had a strange look in his eyes when he saw this. Success. The heart-bewitching art had successfully split a Yin Yang person into 2. The fusion of Yin Yang people also has a degree of fusion. Generally, the fusion is 30%. The higher the fusion, the stronger the combat power. After this man and his younger sister separated, the younger sister's cultivation dropped to the 1st level of the Nirvana realm, and the man actually dropped to the 9th level of the Fragmentation realm. Yi Xian was a little excited. This heart charm technique was really the nemesis of Yin Yang people, but its success rate was affected by the Yin Yang person's fusion rate and the strength of his soul. Moreover, he was only at the 2nd level of the Nirvana realm now, so it was slightly difficult for him to use it. At this time, he also discovered a problem. Originally, he had only spent 1 slot to use the Eye of Control to control this man. Now that this man had disintegrated, even his sister was under his control. However, only 1 spot was taken. As for the 2 who had disintegrated, they were easily charmed by Luo Luo. Then, she told them to leave this place and live a good life. The Yin Yang Temple was extremely overbearing. As long as there were siblings who met the requirements, they had to send them here, so this was not a choice. These people were all so pitiful. Of course, there was another reason why Yi Xian chose to let them go. The 2 of you spread this ability after you leave. Yi Xian suddenly took out a book from the devouring space. It was the heart-bewitching art. Yes, master. The 2 of them put on their robes and left with the heart-bewitching art. The Yin Yang Temple had harmed many families. If the surrounding forces had this heart-bewitching art, then the Yin Yang Temple would not be so arrogant. Who is at the 2nd level of the Nirvana realm and has a fusion rate of 40%? Yi Xian suddenly turned around and asked. Then, 3 Yin Yang people from the Yang Temple walked out. Yi Xian did not say anything and directly used the heart-bewitching art on them. Soon, the 3 of them were disintegrated. 6 naked bodies were exposed in the air, causing everyone present to tremble. Take the heart-bewitching art and leave. Yi Xian also gave the 6 of them the heart-bewitching art and told them to spread it out. This group of Yin Yang people who were being controlled had a fusion rate of 60% at the 2nd level of the Nirvana realm. In the end, all the 2nd level Nirvana realm cultivators were disintegrated by Yi Xian and left with the heart-bewitching art. As for the remaining 8 3rd level Nirvana realm Yin Yang people, Yi Xian still needed them. Chongling, how many elders are there in the Yin Yang Temple now? Yi Xian asked. 8 4th level Nirvana realm elders and 2 5th level Nirvana realm elders, Chongling replied. All right, go and call them out one by one. Yi Xian nodded and ordered. Yes. Immediately, Chongling left again. The 4th and 5th level Nirvana realm were higher than Yi Xian's level. However, Wei Zhentian had broken through to the 6th level of the Nirvana realm. He alone was enough to deal with all of them. As for Luo Luo, she was cultivating in the planting space. She should be able to break through to the 4th level of the Nirvana realm soon. Alright, Luo Luo still has the Eyes of Enchantment. She should be able to control the 4th level Nirvana realm elders. As long as we take in these 8 people, there will only be 2 5th level Nirvana realm elders and 2 deputy temple masters left in the Yinyang temple. At this moment, Yi Xian suddenly remembered something. The Eyes of Enchantment's effect was not inferior to his mind's eye. Soon, Chongling brought in a 4th level Nirvana realm elder. The former was the deputy temple master's disciple, so it was not difficult to lure him out. Chongling, why did you bring me here? An old lady behind Chongling asked in surprise. I'm bringing you to meet someone, Chongling answered honestly. Someone? The old lady muttered to herself. She did not know who Chongling was talking about. Soon, Chongling brought her in front of Yi Xian. What are you doing here? Why aren't you going back to cultivate? The old lady asked in surprise. However, at this moment, a petite figure appeared in front of her. It was Luo Luo. However, when Luo Luo used her Eyes of Enchantment, Yi Xian used his mind's eye first. Instantly, the old lady raised her eyebrows and her soul was injured. Not only that, but she was also attacked by Chongling who was beside her. Both her physical body and soul were severely injured at the same time. Enchantment! Luo Luo finally used her Eyes of Enchantment. With just a glance, she subdued the old lady. Chongling, continue to lure her out. Yi Xian said to Chongling. Yes. Chapter 1373. It would only take a few minutes to lure out an elder. Yi Xian could afford to wait for this amount of time. Subsequently, the elders at the 4th level of the Nirvana stage were lured out one by one and were charmed by Luo Luo. 8 elders at the 4th level of the Nirvana stage and Wei Zhentian are enough to kill the 2 elders at the 5th level of the Nirvana stage. Yi Xian thought to himself. Luo Luo was only at the 3rd level of the Nirvana stage and had yet to break through to the 4th level of the Nirvana stage. Without using the Eyes of Enchantment, it was still difficult for her to charm someone who was 2 levels above her. After all, a yin-yang person's soul was stronger than an ordinary person. Therefore, Yi Xian decided to kill the 2 elders at the 5th level of the Nirvana stage. The group of people lay in ambush and waited quietly. Soon, Chongling returned with an elder from the Yang Hall. The elder was at the 5th level of the Nirvana stage. Chongling, why did you bring me here? The elder asked in confusion. In the next moment, 8 familiar faces appeared. They were the 8 elders at the 4th level of the Nirvana stage who were charmed by Luo Luo earlier. Why are all of you here? The elder was very surprised. However, as soon as he finished speaking, a figure broke through the ground. Rip! A crisp sound entered everyone's ears. A section of the elder's calf was cut off. What? The elder was shocked. However, he was about to face the attacks of the 8 experts at the 4th level of the Nirvana stage. Boom! 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 The elder was directly sent flying. As the people around him were his own people, the elder was not very vigilant. Moreover, Wei Zhentian was at the 6th level of the Nirvana stage. Rip! Another crisp sound was heard. The elder's heart was directly pierced and he died. His corpse fell to the ground. Yi Xian looked at the corpse and shook his head helplessly. The Nirvana stage was not his stage. He was afraid that he would have to rely on Wei Zhentian and Luo Luo. However, after he completed the 9 special level-up missions, his strength would probably be extremely powerful. Yi Xian immediately rushed over and collected the elder's corpse and the interspatial ring. There's one more. Continue luring it in. Yi Xian said to Chongling, yes. Chongling responded and continued to leave. Not long after, another elder at the 5th level of the Rebirth realm was drawn over as well, and he was instantly killed just like the first elder. Now that 2 5th level Rebirth stage elders have died, then next. Yi Xian narrowed his eyes and took something out of the devouring space. It was a small flame. It was the eternal earth core flame. Then he said to Chongling, use this flame to lure your teacher out. Chongling's teacher was the Vice Hall Master of the Yin Hall, a 6th level Nirvana realm martial artist. She was currently searching for the Flame of Fury or the Eternal Core Flame to temper her icebound flame. Therefore, Yi Xian was confident that he could lure Chongling's teacher out. Yes. Chongling was a little surprised. She did not expect Yi Xian to possess the eternal core flame. However, she did not dare to betray him. She quickly took the flame and returned to the Yin Yang Hall. This time, Yi Xian had to deal with a 6th-level Nirvana realm martial artist who possessed a mystical flame. His strength was not to be underestimated. Although Wei Zhentian was also a 6th-level Nirvana realm martial artist and was assisted by 8 4th-level Nirvana realm martial artists, it was better to be safe than sorry. Not long after Chongling left, Yi Xian heard the system notification again. Ding! Luo Luo made a breakthrough. She is currently at the 4th level of the Nirvana realm. The system notification said. Initially, he estimated that Luo Luo would need half a day to make a breakthrough. However, he had overlooked one factor: the myriad beast's fire that she had just obtained. Luo Luo had completely refined the myriad beast's fire, which was why she made a breakthrough in advance. Otherwise, Yi Xian would have to wait for a while before luring the vice hall master of the Yin Hall. Wei Zhentian, set up an ambush. Even if we can't kill him in one go, we must severely injure him. Yi Xian said to Wei Zhentian. Wei Zhentian nodded and burrowed into the ground. It was the best tool for an ambush because it was only a heaven-reaching weapon. It did not have the aura of a human or a heaven-reaching beast. As long as it did not move, no one would discover it underground. Apart from the 8 4th-level Nirvana realm martial artists, Yi Xian was the only one left. As for the others, they were all chased away by Yi Xian. Facing a 6th-level Nirvana realm martial artist, they would not be able to do anything. Instead, they would only be a hindrance. After a while, Chongling returned. This time, she brought a middle-aged woman with her. This woman was young and looked to be around 35 years old. She had a pretty face and fair skin. However, her aura was much more powerful than the 2 5th-level Nirvana realm martial artists. She must be Chongling's master, the vice palace master of Yin Hall, Guiyurong. Of course, some martial artists like to look old while others like to look young. It was impossible to tell their real age just by looking at their faces. Disciple, are you sure it's the eternal earth core fire? Along the way, Guiyurong asked in surprise. Yes, master. A man's voice sounded. He was Chong Kuen, Chongling's younger brother in her body. Haha, this is great. With the eternal earth core fire, sister, you can merge with the icebound flame and I can merge with the eternal earth core fire. This way, the yin and yang will not be out of balance. We can even break through to the 7th level of Nirvana realm. Guiyurong opened her mouth. This time, it was still a man's voice. He was Guiyurong's younger brother. That's right. We have been searching for so long. I didn't expect to find the eternal earth core fire nearby. Disciple, you have done well this time. I will reward you greatly when we return. Guiyurong nodded her head in satisfaction. Master, that is the place where the eternal earth core fire was unearthed. At this moment, Chongling suddenly pointed at the mountain in front of them. All right. At that moment, Guiyurong quickly flew over. However, just as she passed by Chongling, the latter suddenly attacked and slashed Guiyurong's back with a ray of sword qi. Bang! Guiyurong was severely injured. Her entire body flew out uncontrollably. She could not understand why her most beloved disciple would sneak an attack on her. Stupid girl, what are you doing? Guiyurong's younger brother shouted angrily. Fortunately, they were 3 levels apart. Otherwise, they would have been severely injured. Before Chongling could reply, 8 people appeared from the left and right in front of them. They were the 8 elders at the 4th level of Nirvana realm. Guiyurong and her younger brother were shocked. It turned out that this was an ambush. However, they were at the 6th level of Nirvana realm. Even if 8 5th-level Nirvana realm experts came, as long as she wanted to run, no one could catch up with her. However, these 8 4th-level Nirvana realm elders were only responsible for attracting her attention. Chapter 1374. Swoosh! Suddenly, a slender figure broke out from the ground and turned into a ray of light, slashing at Guiyurong's calf. With a ripping sound, Guiyurong's calf was cut off easily. What? Guiyurong and her younger brother were shocked. They were at 6th level Nirvana realm and their bodies were extremely strong. How could they be cut off by a single slash? However, they did not know that Wei Zhentian was also at 6th level Nirvana realm. Moreover, He had been tempered by the eternal earth core fire during this period of time and was extremely sharp. Guo Yurong, who was burning with anger, threw out a palm strike and sent Wei Zhentian flying. "Master, just surrender." Chongling suddenly reminded him. "You evil disciple, I'll kill you." Guo Yurong's younger brother shouted and slapped Chongling. If Chongling was hit, she would definitely be smashed into pieces. However, at this moment, a petite figure suddenly appeared. It was Luo Luo, who had broken through to 4th level Nirvana realm. Bewitching Heart Technique. Luo Luo squinted her eyes and used the illusory technique that Bei Yang had created on Guo Yurong. This technique was specially used to deal with yin-yang beings. After Guo Yurong was hit by the technique, the scene in front of her changed. At this moment, it was her younger brother who was standing in front of her. However, her younger brother was actually naked. "Oh no!" Guo Yurong immediately reacted. There was a flaw in cultivating the divine yin-yang technique, which was to never think about such things. Otherwise, there would be a risk of disintegration. "Sister." Guo Yurong's younger brother in her body suddenly made a strange sound. Guo Yurong reacted, but her younger brother was trapped in the illusion. "This is a good opportunity. Wei Zhentian, kill her." Yi Xian's eyes lit up and he immediately gave Wei Zhentian an order. In an instant, Wei Zhentian transformed into a green dragon and swiped his claw at Guo Yurong's throat. Bam! Guo Yurong reacted and used her left hand to deflect the dragon claw. However, her right hand was placed in front of her chest. "Brother, wake up!" Guo Yurong shouted angrily in her heart. There were 2 souls in this body. She had broken through the illusion, but her younger brother had not. This was troublesome. If her younger brother broke the precepts, he would be disintegrated. If they were to disintegrate, then their cultivation would drop. It was possible for them to fall from the 4th or 3rd level of the Nirvana stage. "Sis." Guo Yurong's younger brother was still in the illusion. Under his influence, Guo Yurong's cheeks couldn't help but turn red. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Wei Zhentian continued to attack. At the same time, Luo Luo wasn't idle either. Charm. Bewitching Heart Technique. Not only that, but even Yi Xian wasn't idle either. He used his Eye of the Heart. Even though there was a difference of 4 levels between the 2nd level of the Nirvana stage and the 6th level of the Nirvana stage, it was always good to be able to deal a little more damage at this moment. As long as she disintegrated, Guo Yurong would become a piece of meat on the chopping board, at the mercy of Yi Xian. The 8 elders at the 4th level of the Nirvana stage swiftly flew over as well. However, they didn't participate in the battle directly. Instead, they supported Wei Zhentian with their all-creations energy. Immediately, Wei Zhentian's speed doubled. As a result, the pressure on Guo Yurong was even greater. "No, I must leave." Guo Yurong made a prompt decision. She reckoned that she would disintegrate with her younger brother in a few seconds. In fact, she might even be killed by Wei Zhentian before she could disintegrate. Immediately, she took out a blue flame from her interspatial ring. It was the Icebound Flame. The Icebound Flame was ranked 95th on the exotic flame list. As her cultivation base was high enough, Guo Yurong didn't need the exotic flame lantern. At the same time when Guo Yurong took out the Icebound Flame, Yi Xian's eyes lit up. This was the key to him breaking through to the 3rd level of the Nirvana stage. However, Guo Yurong didn't take out the Icebound Flame to show it off. Icebound 1,000 miles. Guo Yurong circulated her true energy and combined it with the All Creations energy. She immediately cast a divine ability that she created. This divine ability was called Icebound 1,000 miles. It required the Icebound Flame to be cast. Moreover, this was her first time using this technique in a battle. Suddenly, a surge of ice energy spread out. Wei Zhentian, who was charging toward Guo Yurong, froze. His entire body was covered with a layer of ice crystals. In the blink of an eye, he was turned into an ice sculpture. Kacha! 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 A series of crisp sounds came from afar. Yi Xian turned his head and saw that the 8 elders at the 4th level of the Nirvana stage were all frozen into ice sculptures. Even the Nirvana fire in their bodies was extinguished by the ice. From this it could be seen how powerful this 1,000 miles of ice was. Fortunately, Yi Xian was very far away. Otherwise, he wouldn't know what would happen. After freezing the troublesome people, Guo Yurong immediately turned around and ran. Wei Zhentian, break free quickly and chase after her. Yi Xian shouted at Wei Zhentian. At the same time, he released Luo Luo again. Luo Luo was only using her illusion technique and charm from afar. Therefore, when the ice energy spread out, she was kept into the planting space by Yi Xian. Humph! She can't run away. Luo Luo snorted lightly and turned into a golden ray of light. 9 Reincarnation Flash. First flash. 9 Reincarnation Flash. Second flash. 9 Reincarnation Flash. Third flash. After 3 times, Luo Luo was already behind Guo Yurong. What? Guo Yurong did not expect someone to be able to catch up with her so quickly after the icebound 1,000 miles. After a moment of shock, she turned around and slapped her palm out. However, Luoluo's speed was even faster than hers. In fact, it was much faster. She successfully slapped her palm out. However, before that, Luo Luo had already brushed past Guo Yurong's body. A line of blood appeared on Guo Yurong's throat and rapidly expanded. This is impossible. Guo Yurong's eyes widened as she spat out a few words. Soon after, her head fell mercilessly and was embedded in the mud. Plop! Her body fell face first onto the ground. Blood splattered everywhere and flowed into the ground. Ding! Host's killing intent has increased. After Guo Yurong died, a system notification sounded in Yi Xian's mind. This was probably the first time he killed an enemy who was 4 realms higher than him. Although he did not kill her personally, the killing intent points were credited to him. F***CK. That's a lot. Yi Xian was speechless. At this moment, his killing intent points had almost reached the upper limit. Does this Yin Yang person count as 2 people? At this moment, Yi Xian thought of this problem. Yin Yang person was a combination of a man and a woman. Chapter 1375. At this moment, Yi Xian was thinking that if he killed the Yang Hall's Vice Hall Master, he might be able to reach the upper limit. At that time, he would be able to exchange for devour points. Wei Zhentian, Luo Luo, well done. Yi Xian praised. He quickly flew over and kept Guo Yurong's interspatial ring. There were many things inside, but Yi Xian's attention was on the icebound flame. The icebound flame is finally in my hands. With it, I can immediately break through to the peak of Nirvana stage. Yi Xian's eyes lit up. However, he resisted the urge to devour the icebound flame because he might be able to earn more devour points. Young master, why aren't you breaking through? Luo Luo asked curiously. There's no hurry. We might have to fight another battle. Yi Xian's lips curled up slightly. The 8 elders of Nirvana stage had already been killed by Guo Yurong's icebound 1,000 miles. It was a pity that the killing intent of those 8 elders was not worth it. It had to be said that the exceptional flame was very powerful. Only now did Wei Zhentian manage to break free. Yi Xian had actually copied down that move. However, he was about to devour the icebound flame, so there was no point in learning it. After all, it could only be used together with the icebound flame. Young master, there's a Vice Hall Master in the Yang Hall. Are you going to kill him? Luo Luo blinked her big eyes and asked. Yes, after killing him, we'll dismember everyone and destroy this Yin Yang temple. Yi Xian nodded. He immediately tore through the void and arrived at the entrance of the Yin Yang Hall. This time, he was serious. The Vice Hall Master of the Yang Hall of the Yin Yang temple was called Ma Deyu. This was what Yi Xian found out from Chong Ling. After arriving at the entrance of the Yin Yang Hall, Yi Xian circulated his vital energy and roared, Vice Hall Master of the Yang Hall, Ma Deyu, get out here right now. His voice was deafening. Everyone in the Yin Yang Hall must have heard it. Hearing this, the disciples of the Yin Yang temple all raised their heads in surprise. If it was just Ma Deyu, they might not know who he was. However, with the addition of the words Deputy Palace Master of Yang Hall, even if they were fools, they would know who he was talking about. Someone actually dared to provoke the Yang Hall's Vice Palace Master. Wasn't that courting death? If it was under ordinary circumstances, there would surely be many elders that would come out. But now, there wasn't a single elder in this branch hall, and only some 2nd or 3rd level Rebirth Realm Guardians remained. The protectors were the first to rush out. How dare you call the Vice Palace Master by his name? A sarcastic old man jumped out. However, before he could finish his sentence, Wei Zhentian had already cut off his head with a swing of his sword. Wei Zhentian then brought the interspatial ring back to Yi Xian. Old tree, Luo Luo, Wei Zhentian, as long as they are in the Nirvana realm, kill them all. Yi Xian immediately gave the order. Previously, he did let some of the Yin Yang people go. However, they were once his subordinates after all. They were controlled and used by him. Yi Xian was relatively merciful to his subordinates. Sometimes he would let them go. However, these Yin Yang people who had nothing to do with him couldn't escape death. Okay. Luo Luo and the other two responded one after another. In an instant they charged out. The entire Yin Yang sacred hall turned into hell. Countless screams rang out. Even Yi Xian himself couldn't help but charge out. There were hundreds of Nirvana realm cultivators in the Yin Yang sacred hall. These people all had double the killing intent value. Killing one was worth 2. In order to devour points, Yi Xian had to be ruthless. Ding! Host's killing intent value has increased. Ding! Host's killing intent value has increased. Ding! Host's killing intent value has increased. The system beeps rang out one after another. Many of these people were forced to do so. They were captured when they were young. However, after being groomed inhumanely by the Yin Yang Sacred Hall, their personalities became twisted. After merging, they became even more terrifying. If he only destroyed the Yin Yang Sacred Hall and let these people escape, it might bring disaster to the surrounding forces. Therefore, Yi Xian gave the order to kill. None of them could be left alive. As for those Yin Yang people who hadn't reached the Nirvana realm, Yi Xian directly used the bewitching technique to disintegrate them. Soon, the Yin Yang Sacred Hall was filled with corpses and rivers of blood. The Yang Sacred Hall's deputy hall master, Ma Diyu, came out of seclusion when he heard Yi Xian's roar. When he came out, he saw a savage person slaughtering the Yin Yang Sacred Hall's disciples. Don't be presumptuous. A deep roar entered Yi Xian's ears. Yi Xian turned around and realized that the person had a powerful aura. He was at least at the Nirvana realm. Ma Diyu, I've finally found you. Yi Xian narrowed his eyes and gave Wei Zhentian an order. Kill. Instantly, Wei Zhentian turned into a ray of light and intercepted Ma Diyu. Wei Zhentian, who had the undying attribute, could even fight against a Nirvana realm martial artist. As long as he was given enough time, he could exhaust his opponent to death. What the hell is this? Get lost. Ma Diyu was furious and punched Wei Zhentian. Gotcha. Wei Zhentian was hit by the punch until a few cracks appeared on his body. At the same time, he turned around and swung his dragon tail. Bam! Ma Diyu's waist was hit and he was sent flying. What a joke. So what if his physique was strong? Could it be compared to a divine weapon? In the end, Wei Zhentian was just an undying weapon. At the same level, its combat strength was actually weaker than the old tree. However, its strength lay in the fact that it could transform at will. When Ma Diyu was sent flying, Wei Zhentian quickly transformed into a chain of arrow towers. Whoosh! 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 Sharp arrows shot out one after another. Ma Diyu's face was gloomy as he endured the pain and blocked the arrows. On the other side, Luo Luo had also arrived. She immediately used the charm and bewitching technique on Ma Diyu. This move caused the other person in Ma Diyu's body to react strangely. *T. Ma Diyu instantly got rid of the illusion. However, Ma Ling in his body did not. He was in the same situation as Gua Yurong. If he continued to fight, he would definitely disintegrate. However, if he escaped, wouldn't the disciples of Yin Yang Temple die in vain? Kill! Ma Diyu did not care anymore. He had already made up his mind. Even if he died, he would kill Yi Xian. Ice and Fire Yin Yang Sword, slash. Ma Diyu gathered flames in his left hand and ice crystals in his right. The moment he put his palms together, the flames and ice crystals suddenly expanded and condensed into a gigantic ice and fire sword. Then he slashed down. Wei Zhentian could not dodge in time and was hit by the sword. This move was a high-level Nirvana superpower in Yin Yang Temple. In the entire Yin Yang Temple, he was the only one who had learned it. One should know that even the main temple master of the temple did not know it. However, he had learned it. This was enough to show his talent. Chapter 1376. Ding! Wei Zhentian is dead. Ding! Wei Zhentian is resurrected. After the two system notifications, Yi Xian released Wei Zhentian again. What? How is this possible? Ma Diyu was shocked. He clearly saw Wei Zhentian turn into ashes. How did Wei Zhentian reappear in the next moment? Since that's the case, I will kill you again. Ice and Fire Yin Yang Sword. Ma Diyu condensed another ice and fire sword and slashed down rapidly. This time, Wei Zhentian did not dodge. He did not manage to dodge the previous time, but this time, he did it on purpose. Gotcha! Wei Zhentian was killed again. 2 system notifications rang in Yi Xian's mind again. However, this time, Wei Zhentian was just a bait to attract Ma Diyu's attention. The real danger had quietly crept up behind Ma Diyu. 9 Reincarnation Flash. 4th Flash. Swish! A crisp sound rang. Ma Diyu's head flew into the air. Blood sprayed 3 meters high like a fountain. Ma Diyu dead. Ding! Host's killing intent has increased. After Ma Diyu's death, Yi Xian's killing intent increased by a large margin. Then, another system notification rang. Ding! Host's killing intent has reached the upper limit. Do you want to exchange the killing intent points for 1 devour point? Yes. Yi Xian answered without hesitation. Ding! Killing intent has been cleared successfully. Ding! Host has obtained 1 devour point. He had finally exchanged the killing intent points for devour points. This was the 3rd time. At the same time, Yi Xian suddenly thought of a way to obtain devour points quickly. That was to increase Wei Zhentian's cultivation to Nirvana Realm level 9 quickly, and then kill the level 9 experts. Not to mention level 9 Nirvana Realm. As long as he killed level 8 or level 7 Nirvana Realm experts, he might be able to reach the upper limit once. However, the main thing now was to increase his cultivation level. Although devour points could make him stronger, the increase in strength would not exceed the increase in cultivation level. Since he had obtained the devour points, the next step would be to break through. Ding! Host has devoured Ice Sealing Flame. Ding! The host has made a breakthrough and is currently at the 3rd level of the Nirvana stage. Ding! The host has completed the special leveling up mission. The reward is the Immortal Phoenix bloodline and the sharing of the object. After 3 consecutive system notifications, Yi Xian froze on the spot. The bloodline of the Immortal Divine Phoenix could be shared with other living things? Previously, when he had formed a contract with the old tree had obtained the recovery ability of the bloodline of the Divine Tree of Life. But now, he even had the ability to detoxify and resist fire. Not only that, it was the same for Luo Luo and Wei Zhentian. In the future, Luo Luo wouldn't have to worry about the problem of true qi consumption. Of course, after Wei Zhentian obtained the Immortal Divine Phoenix bloodline, he would be able to recover from his injuries immediately. Furthermore, his resistance to fire had also increased by quite a bit. Previously, Wei Zhentian had been killed twice by the Ice and Fire Yin Yang sword. However, after being killed, he did not die. Instead, he self-destructed because he could not be repaired. If he had the bloodline of the Immortal Divine Phoenix bloodline just now, with the fire resistance of the bloodline, the Ice and Fire Yin Yang sword would not have caused so much damage to him. Moreover, even if he was cut in half, he would be able to recover quickly. There was no need for him to self-destruct and resurrect to fight again. That would save him a lot of time. Not bad, not bad. The reward this time is also very good. Yi Xian nodded his head in satisfaction. Then, he quickly devoured the items that he had collected previously. Ding! The host has reached the peak of the 3rd level of the Nirvana stage. Every time Yi Xian reached the peak of the Nirvana stage, he would know what he needed next time. As expected, when he saw the requirement to break through to the peak of the 3rd level of the Nirvana stage, he could not help but smile. The mysterious fire required to break through to the 4th level of the Nirvana stage from the peak of the 3rd level of the Nirvana stage was actually the eternal Earth Core fire. The heavens are really helping me. Yi Xian looked up to the sky and laughed out loud. When Wei Zhentian saw this, he could not help but think to himself, "Damn retard!" Ding! The host has devoured the eternal Earth Core fire. Ding! The host has broken through. The host is currently at the 4th level of the Nirvana stage. Ding! The host has completed the special level-up mission. The reward is a bottle of blessing oil. When Yi Xian heard this, he was shocked again. Blessing oil? Isn't that something that can increase luck? At that moment, he took a glance and realized that there was an additional golden bottle in the devour space. Blessing oil. Wei Zhentian, you have been with me for so long. I will give it to you. Without hesitation, Yi Xian took out the blessing oil and poured the entire bottle to Wei Zhentian. The moment the blessing oil was poured on Wei Zhentian, it was immediately absorbed by him. Although there seemed to be no change, Yi Xian heard the system notification. Ding! Wei Zhentian's luck has increased. The current luck is at 1 point. The host's luck was the sum of the luck points of all the equipment. In other words, Yi Xian had 1 point of luck points. Yi Xian only had 3 pieces of equipment on him. The first was Wei Zhentian, the second was the old tree's divine wood seal, and the last was the glorious set. Now, Wei Zhentian's realm was the highest, so he was naturally given to him. When the weapon's luck points increased, it might cause a critical hit effect when attacking. In other words, the attack this time would be stronger. Yi Xian gave the blessing oil to Wei Zhentian for another reason. Wei Zhentian could be used as a weapon and also as a shield. It was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. As for Yi Xian's luck points, it was also very useful. For example, when exchanging for items, there would be a critical hit effect. He would use the price of 1 item to exchange for 2 of the same item. When forging equipment, there would be a critical hit effect. He would use 1 set of materials to forge 2 pieces of equipment. At the same time, it could increase the chances of winning a lottery. Yi Xian had never used the Devour Space Lottery system before. Finally, it could increase the chances of the God-slaying bloodline's instant kill skill. In short, there were many benefits to increasing luck points. Ah, young master, your realm has increased so quickly. Luo couldn't help but say. That's right. It's rare to break through twice in a row. Yi Xian chuckled. Young master, you're really amazing. I'm impressed. The old tree also complimented. Previously, because Yi Xian was stuck at the 2nd level of the Nirvana stage, his improvement was slow. Now that Yi Xian had surpassed him, he estimated that he would break through to the 5th level of the Nirvana stage in a short period of time. If it were other sky-reaching beasts, they might not break through even once in a few years. However, for the old tree, it would usually break through once every few days. He definitely didn't follow the wrong master. Now that the breakthrough was complete, the slaughter continued. The Yin-Yang Temple's branch palace had to be destroyed today. Chapter 1377. I've killed almost all of the Nirvana Realm cultivators. I've also dismembered the Fragmentation Realm cultivators. I've collected over 2,000 interspatial rings. Yi Xian began to count his spoils. Although he did not kill the Fragmentation Realm cultivators, it did not mean that he would not take their interspatial rings. Everything in the 2,000 interspatial rings went into his pocket. Ding! The host has reached the peak of the 4th level of the Nirvana realm. The system notified. Yi Xian instinctively glanced at it and realized that the Sea Heart Flame, which was ranked 90th on the exceptional flame list, was required to break through to the 5th level of the Nirvana realm. The Sea Heart Flame was born in the deep sea. However, this was land. Where did the sea come from? That's right. The unfrozen sea region is the sea. Yi Xian suddenly thought of this. However, he did not have time to return to the unfrozen sea region to look for the Sea Heart Flame. He had something more important to do. He came to the entrance of the Yin-Yang Temple and looked towards the north. Xianming Duo Demons, prepare to die. Yi Xian's eyes shone with unprecedented confidence. When the Xianming Duo Demons were escorted away, they were only at the 4th level of the Nirvana realm. The escorts were the Temple Master of the Yin-Yang Temple and 3 elders at the 5th level of the Nirvana realm. Now that Yi Xian had broken through to the 4th level of the Nirvana realm, it was a piece of cake for him to deal with them. Not to mention that the 6th level of the Nirvana realm did not have the Blade Storm. Let's go! At that moment, Yi Xian directly used the Shadow Steps and rushed towards the north. It had only been 2 hours since the Xianming Duo Demons left. Yi Xian's speed was not slower than the Temple Master's. Coupled with the effect of the Shadow Step, he was confident that he could catch up to the Temple Master within an hour. His plan was to intercept and kill the Xianming Duo Demons on the way. Otherwise, if the Xianming Duo Demons' helper found out, the Yin-Yang Temple might be destroyed. Yi Xian did not care whether the Yin-Yang Temple was destroyed or not. He was afraid that Song Suijing and Adjudicator Song would be affected. The Xianming Duo Demons had to die. Yi Xian's speed was off the charts when he used Shadow Steps. With his perception of the target of the Death Hunt order, Yi Xian wouldn't go in the wrong direction. He could accurately sense that the distance between him and his opponent was rapidly closing. An hour later, he finally saw the target of the death hunt order, Nalan Bing. "I've finally found you." The corners of Yi Xian's mouth curled up slightly, and his eyes sparkled. This time, he had to kill the Xianming duo demons and fulfill his promise to Mo Shui. At the same time, he would resolve the crisis of the Yinyang Temple. The person escorting the mysterious underworld duo demons was the main hall master of the Yinyang Temple. There were also 3 elders at the 5th level of the Nirvana realm. To Yi Xian, all of this was extremely powerful. But after he broke through, it was nothing. "Wei Zhantian, I'll let you go on a killing spree this time," Yi Xian thought to himself. To be on the safe side, he was prepared to use Bladestorm to kill all 6 people in front of him, leaving no survivors. However, at this moment, the sub-hall master escorting the mysterious underworld duo demons suddenly turned around. "Who is it?" the sub-hall master shouted angrily. Since the beginning, he had been a little nervous, as if something big was about to happen, so he was very vigilant. Yi Xian did not expect that he would be discovered by the sub-hall master, even though he was so far away. It seemed that the sub-hall master was at the peak of the 6th level of the Nirvana realm. "Humph!" Yi Xian snorted coldly and his eyes flashed. "Mind's eye." Ding. "Control successful." Ding. "Control successful." Ding. "Control successful." 3 consecutive system notifications sounded. The 3 elders at the 5th level of the Nirvana realm were directly controlled by Yi Xian. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The 3 of them suddenly attacked, and their targets were the Xianming duo demons. The Xianming duo demons were shackled and could not use their true qi. They could only fly by relying on the sub-hall master. They could not avoid the sneak attack of the 3 of them at all. "Elders, what are you doing?" The sub-hall master was shocked and hurriedly blocked in front of the Xianming duo demons, and then completely defeated the sneak attack. Rumble. The 3 elders' sneak attacks all failed. In fact, Yi Xian was anxious. If he let the 3 elders launch a sneak attack when he was fighting with the sub-hall master, it would be 100% successful. "It's you?" Nalan Bing and Nalan Jia also noticed Yi Xian, and their eyes widened. They wanted to return to the rescue, and then send the Immortality Realm powerhouses to search for Yi Xian. They did not expect Yi Xian to deliver himself to them. Most importantly, when they saw Yi Xian previously, Yi Xian was only at the Fragmentation Realm. In such a short time, Yi Xian actually broke through to the Nirvana Realm, and seemed to have the ability to fight with a peak 6th level Nirvana Realm powerhouse. These 3 elders were probably already controlled by Yi Xian. Although their sneak attack had failed, so what if it had failed? "Elders, I didn't expect you to betray us." Dang. At this moment, the sub-hall master immediately reacted and attacked. Swish. 1 sword, 3 heads. The sub-hall master's strength was outstanding. He was indeed at the peak of the 6th level Nirvana realm and was about to break through to the 7th level. It was not difficult to kill 3 people instantly. "Brat, who are you?" The branch hall master's attention once again fell onto the blonde Yi Xian as he questioned. There was a question in his heart that he could not figure out. If these 3 dead elders had already betrayed them and wanted to kill the Xianming duo demons, why did they wait until now to attack? They had been on the road for 3 hours, and they could have attacked along the way. If that was the case, he would not have been able to react in time. But now, the 3 elders were waiting for the moment he turned around to attack. Could it be that they were instantly controlled by Yi Xian? "You don't need to know. I only want to kill the 2 of them." After Yi Xian finished speaking coldly, he immediately attacked. Killing intent explosion. Peerless flaming dragon slash. A golden flaming dragon swept out. The sub-hall master could feel the power of this attack, but he still said disdainfully, "Insignificant skill." Ice Fire Yin Yang Sword. A giant sword of ice and fire formed and slashed down viciously. Previously, the vice hall master of Yang Hall thought that he was the only one who had mastered this move. In fact, the sub-hall master had mastered it earlier than him, but he had not used it yet. That was why vice hall master Ma Diyu thought so. Bang! The giant sword of ice and fire defeated the golden flaming dragon. However, at this moment, Yi Xian had already dashed toward the sub-hall master. "Humph, you're courting death," the sub-hall master shouted. After ensuring that there was no one else around, he went up to him. However, he did not know that Yi Xian had 3 helpers waiting in the planting space. Killing intent explosion. Peerless flaming dragon slash. Icefire Yin Yang sword. Chapter 1378. However, at this moment, Wei Zhentian, go and kill the Xianming duo demons. Yi Xian said in his heart. In the next moment, Wei Zhentian suddenly appeared and dashed toward the Xianming duo demons. What? The sub-hall master was shocked. He did not know how the sword appeared. After all, the weapon was not thrown by Yi Xian. It appeared suddenly. However, he was already entangled with Yi Xian. It was impossible for him to catch up with Wei Zhentian. Damn it! This is a sacrifice for the main hall. You can't touch him. The sub-hall master shouted angrily. I don't care who you're going to sacrifice you to. Dang! Yi Xian's eyes flickered. Wei Zhentian had already arrived in front of the Xianming duo demons. In the next moment, he would chop off their heads. The Xianming duo demons widened their eyes. They never thought that they would die here. However, at this moment, swoosh! A gust of wind blew out of nowhere. Wei Zhentian was blocked by this gust of wind and could not move. What? Yi Xian was shocked. When he took a closer look, he realized that it was not a gust of wind but a person. However, this person's speed was so fast that he could not react. It was an old man in white. His right hand was choking Wei Zhentian so that Wei Zhentian could not move. Even Yi Xian could not see through this old man's cultivation level. However, Yi Xian had a feeling that this old man in white was extremely powerful. Even the old ancestor Yin Yang might not be a match for this old man in white. This was Yi Xian's feeling. Escort. Yi Xian immediately reacted. Swoosh. The old man in white's right hand suddenly caught fire. Then, Wei Zhentian was instantly burned to ashes. Ding! Wei Zhentian is dead. Ding! Wei Zhentian is resurrected. The two system notifications rang. However, Yi Xian was still stunned. Such a powerful opponent was at least a Nirvana realm level 8 or level 9. He might even be in the immortality realm. Immortal level? No way! Yi Xian could not believe it. If his opponent was on immortal level, he had no chance of winning at all. Not to mention the longevity realm, even if it was the 8th level of the Nirvana realm, it would be impossible for him to win. Damn it, it's right in front of me, and I'm being disturbed again. Yi Xian was cursing in his heart. Why was the mysterious underworld duo so lucky? Someone had saved them several times already. Seniors, are you all right? The white-robed old man said respectfully. Don't worry, capture these two. Nalan Bing didn't say anything else and directly ordered. All right. The white-robed old man nodded. Upon hearing this, Yi Xian's expression changed drastically. He prepared to tear open the void and leave. However, he suddenly realized that he could not move his body. Not only that, but the nearby palace masters were also the same. Eyes of nature? Yi Xian widened his eyes. Using the power of 10,000 elephants from a distance was the effect of the eye of 10,000 elephants. Who would have thought that this white-clothed old man would also have it? This was going to be troublesome. It seems that I can only fake my death. Yi Xian immediately summoned Wei Zhentian and directly pierced his own chest. Swish! The Megatron sword pierced his heart. This scene also surprised the white-haired old man. Even if you're dead. At this moment, Nalan Bing shouted in a low voice. Yi Xian's life didn't matter to her now because she could already use the soul-searching divine power. Even if it was a dead person, she could still search it. When the time came, she would know where Luo Luo was. Yi Xian originally wanted to fake his death to avoid this disaster, but he didn't expect Nalan Bing to be so ruthless. This was really troublesome. Oh no, I can't move now, and the white-robed old man is vigilant. Even if I break open the void, I'm afraid I can't get the old tree to help me through the void door. Yi Xian's expression changed drastically. No matter what, this method had to be tried. Eyes of the void. A void door opened. The white-robed old man reacted quickly, and immediately used the Eye of Thousand Forms to pull Yi Xian over. In the blink of an eye, Yi Xian was pulled in front of him. Although Nalan Bing said that he could be dead, it was better to be alive than dead, right? Now, Yi Xian was completely restrained and couldn't move. He couldn't hurt anyone and couldn't escape. His fate was probably over. I know, Nalan Bing wants to search my memories. She wants to search my memories. Yi Xian immediately understood. However, he had the Eye of Eternity. As long as his 2 eyeballs were not destroyed, he wouldn't die. Faking his death wouldn't be able to fool the white-robed old man. It seems that this time, I have to lose my doppelganger. Yi Xian suddenly made a decision in his heart. This decision was one that he had never made before, and that was to commit suicide. This time, it was really suicide. Shenming Duo Demons, Yi Xian, admit defeat this time. Yi Xian's golden eyes flashed and suddenly turned red. The white-robed old man and the Shenming Duo Demons felt that something was wrong and reacted in the next moment. However, the Shenming Duo Demons didn't stop them. In their opinion, Yi Xian's eyes were nothing. It wouldn't matter even if he died. Bam! Yi Xian's eyes were forcefully squeezed out by his own true energy. This time, even if he had the Eye of Eternity, Yi Xian was still dead. After Yi Xian's eyes exploded, his body suddenly turned into flying ash and was blown away by the wind. What's going on? Nalan Bing was shocked. How did it become like this when he was just blinded? Could it be that the Yi Xian in front of them was just a puppet? Seniors, The white-haired old man also didn't understand the situation. If he was alive, they wanted to see him. If he was dead, they wanted to see his corpse. However, Yi Xian was dead. There wasn't even a corpse, only a set of clothes left behind. How was this possible? Is there no one else in the range of your spiritual sense? Nalan Jie asked. I'm sure there's no one else. The white-robed old man shook his head and glanced at the sub-temple leader. This guy has a lot of tricks up his sleeve. He's probably just a puppet, Nalan Bing said unhappily. She thought that she could catch Luo, but she failed again. Nalan Jie also glanced at the sub-temple leader and said, Then the Yin-Yang Temple. Destroy it. Don't leave a single sub-temple. Nalan Bing said coldly. Yes, seniors. The white-robed old man nodded respectfully. Wiping out a force like the Yin-Yang Temple was something he could do with a snap of his fingers. Also, I want the inheritance of the Yin-Yang Temple. Nalan Bing suddenly reminded him. The Yin-Yang Temple's level was too low for them, but they might be inspired to improve the Yin-Yang Saint technique. Ding! The host's clone is dead. Ding! The host's clone is dead. The original body and the first clone were in a merged state, so 1 body and 2 lives were lost. At this moment, his second clone, who was far away in the eastern continent, suddenly opened his eyes. Shenming Duo Demons, Yi Xian, will definitely avenge this. Chapter 1379. This time, Yi Xian admitted defeat. He had no choice but to let his 2 clones commit suicide. After all, if he was shackled, he would not be able to use his true qi. If he was controlled again, he would never be able to leave. At that time, the only one who could move would be his second clone in the eastern continent. If that was the case, what was the point of keeping his original body and first clone? Therefore, he made the decision to self-destruct his eyes. Now that he had merged with the immortal Phoenix bloodline, he only felt that it was a pity that his 2 undying clones died. However, this was inevitable. With the immortal Phoenix bloodline, I can use devour points to revive my undying clones. However, I only have 1 point now. Yi Xian thought for a while and finally decided to recall some of his skills. Old tree, I'm sorry. Yi Xian told the old tree what had happened. It's fine. Isn't it just an ultimate skill? You've helped me increase my realm by so much. Moreover, I'm undying. If you die, won't I die too? Old tree did not think much of it and gladly accepted this fact. All right. Yi Xian did not say anything else and recalled Old Tree's Berserk Python Sweep. Ding! Berserk Python Sweep successfully recalled. Ding! Host has obtained 2 Devour points. Berserk Python Sweep was a pretty good skill. However, because Old Tree's realm was not up to par, Yi Xian decided to recall it first. Recalling the Berserk Python Sweep gave him 2 Devour points. Previously, he had also exchanged 1 Devour point for the upper limit of his killing intent. Therefore, Yi Xian had a total of 3 Devour points. Ding! Host has consumed 1 Devour point. Reviving Undying Clones. Undying clones are reviving. Current consumption is 1%. Ding! Host has consumed 1 Devour point. Reviving undying clones. Undying clones are reviving. Current consumption is 1%. For system notifications sounded. Yi Xian only had one devour point left. Unfortunately, the resurrection still required one more day. What's wrong with you? Just as Yi Xian was deep in thought, Guan Yulan suddenly stood up and said. It had already been more than 2 years since Song Sui Jing was taken away. During these 2 years, although Yi Xian and Guan Yulan were both in the same room, they only hugged each other to sleep and didn't do anything. Yi Xian smiled when he saw that Guan Yulan had woken up. He caressed Guan Yulan's hair affectionately and said, "It's nothing. 2 of my clones were killed and are currently being repaired." Killed? Guan Yulan trembled. Didn't that mean that Yi Xian only had 1 life left? Don't worry, this second clone of mine won't leave the eastern continent, Yi Xian hurriedly explained. In the Blood Rock continent, other than Lianyun City, there was no one from the Wanxiang realm. Other than old immortal Tianju who lived in seclusion in the Great Desolation, no one else was a threat to him. Although Guan Yulan had never left the Blood Rock continent, all the treasures that Yi Xian had obtained before were brought back by his second clone. Right now, Guan Yulan and the others were in the fragmentation realm, and some had even reached the Nirvana realm. In this Blood Rock continent, they were the overlords. Then who killed your 2 clones? Guan Yulan asked curiously. She knew that Yi Xian was already at the peak of the 4th level of the Nirvana realm, and Wei Zhentian was at the 6th level of the Nirvana realm. Who could kill them? It was the mysterious underworld duo demons. I didn't expect that a super powerhouse who seemed to be in the immortal realm would appear along the way. Yi Xian shook his head helplessly. Immortal realm? Guan Yulan was shocked. A powerhouse in the immortal realm could live for at least 1,000 years. This was even longer than the history of some sections. Don't worry, I'll be more careful this time, Yi Xian said with a smile. Okay. Guan Yulan nodded slightly and leaned into Yi Xian's arms. In the past 2 years, there had been some changes in the Blood Rock continent. For example, Yi Xian used the power of all creations to build a floating island. Zhao Pan gave birth to a little fatty. The 6th prince unified the main continent, and the 2 brothers, Feng Wuchen and Feng Wuhan, trained together in the Penglai Divine Land. However, Yi Xian didn't care about the things here. He was worried that the mysterious underworld duo demons would attack the temple of Yin Yang. Soon, a day had passed. Ding! The undying clone has been revived successfully. Ding! The undying clone has been revived successfully. 2 system notifications sounded out, and Yi Xian once again had 3 lives. Then, he immediately summoned them. Young master, you must be careful this time. On the floating island, Luo said to Yi Xian's original body. Since there was still a clone in the eastern continent, Luo, the old tree, and Wei Zhentian could come here to play with others when they were tired of cultivating. Okay. Yi Xian nodded and immediately turned into a stream of light and left. With his speed, he arrived at the entrance of the Penglai Divine Land in the blink of an eye. Then, he began his journey again. The Blood Rock continent was connected to the Penglai Divine Land. Therefore, he must arrive at the Land of the Dead as soon as possible and use the cross-realm transfer formation of the 8 great families to teleport to the Glazed Light Divine Land. A few seconds later, Yi Xian arrived at the cross-realm transfer formation. That day, he and the mini Sky Dragon were teleported to the Glazed Light Divine Land from here. Then they parted ways. He continued to wander around the Glazed Light Divine Land while the mini Sky Dragon looked for the next cross-realm transfer formation to teleport to the Life Divine Land. Before using the teleportation array, Yi Xian had also reinforced the teleportation array and set up some defensive formations to prevent it from being accidentally destroyed. This way, he wouldn't be able to go. Whoosh! The cross-realm transfer formation activated. In the blink of an eye, Yi Xian returned to the Glazed Light Divine Land. I have a void positioning system in the Thousand Beasts sect. This distance is enough. Next, he didn't hurry on his way. Instead, he tore through the void. Passing through the void gate, Yi Xian returned to the Thousand Beasts sect. With his speed, it would only take a little more than an hour to reach the Yin Yang Temple's branch. A day has already passed. That white-robed old man might have already checked the surroundings. However, I still have to be careful. Yi Xian frowned. He transformed into the appearance of a person he had once controlled and concealed his presence. Then, he began to hurry on his way again. An hour later, Yi Xian cautiously arrived at the Yinyang Temple's branch and found that it had already been reduced to ruins. Damn it! It seems that the white-haired old man really did make the Shenming duo demons attack. Sui Jing is in danger. Yi Xian's expression changed drastically. He looked into the distance. The death pursuit order hadn't been lifted, but Nalan Bing was now very far away from him. Perhaps the Yinyang Temple hadn't been destroyed yet. Immediately, he began to hurry on his way again. Soon, he arrived at the place where he self-destructed that day. However, there was nothing to miss here. Thus, he continued north. What surprised him was that after chasing for a while, he found that he had arrived at the seaside. This is the Unfrozen Sea region? Chapter 1380. This is the Unfrozen Sea region? Yi Xian's eyebrows rose. Earth Emanations Island was in the Unfrozen Sea region. However, it was not huge and was considered an inland sea. This sea region seemed to be bigger than the Unfrozen Sea region of Earth Emanations Island. The Shenming duo demons were too far away from me. However, they must have passed through this Unfrozen Sea region. Yi Xian paused for a moment. He recalled the route that the Deputy Hall Master took that day. It seemed that he was going to enter the Unfrozen Sea region as well. Hence, after thinking for a while, he decided to enter the Unfrozen Sea region directly. It is impossible to fly in the Unfrozen Sea region. There is also no way to move the frozen surface. I can only use my All Creations force to move the boat. At the same time, I have to be careful of those whirlpools. Yi Xian took out a small boat and entered the Unfrozen Sea region. With the Eye of the Void, Yi Xian did not have to worry about his life. If he was accidentally sucked into a whirlpool, he could escape. In this Unfrozen Sea region, there were many whirlpools. However, with Yi Xian's eye of perception, spiritual perception, and killer instinct, he could easily find a way out. However, it was not 100% certain that he could avoid them. Just as Yi Xian entered the Unfrozen Sea region for 2 hours, the surface of the sea suddenly changed. *T. These whirlpool beasts are starting to move. Yi Xian's heart trembled. Luckily, he had been using the void positioning technique along the way. Otherwise, he would be very weak. The whirlpool beasts below would change their positions every once in a while. Then, they would form another whirlpool and swallow any food that was accidentally sucked into it. Every time there was a change, Yi Xian's boat could capsize. So be it. What a waste of my time. Yi Xian had a headache. He immediately increased his speed. As long as he could leave this region, everything would be fine. However, life was unpredictable. Huff, huff, huff. Suddenly, the water around him started to churn. Yi Xian's intuition told him that there was a whirlpool forming below. Holy *T, it's huge. All the water within Yi Xian's perception was actually churning. How big was this whirlpool? Just as he was about to break open the void and leave, a whirlpool suddenly appeared, and he fell in. This scene happened so suddenly that even he was caught unprepared. Gulp, gulp. Yi Xian's entire body was thrown into the whirlpool and began to spin continuously. Wei Zhentian, protect me. Yi Xian hastily summoned Megatron and had it turn into a set of armor to cover the brilliant golden armor. Now that Wei Zhentian's luck attribute had increased by 1 point, his defensive capabilities had become much stronger than before. Although critical defense would not always appear, it might still be able to save his life during critical moments. This whirlpool rotated at an extremely fast speed. Even Yi Xian, who was at the 4th level of the Nirvana realm, could not resist it. Fortunately, an expert at his level could almost survive without relying on air. He could completely replace it with his true qi. Therefore, even if he stayed in the sea for 100 years, there would not be any problems. However, as the whirlpool continued to descend, the seawater of the Unfrozen Sea region became heavier and heavier. Yi Xian only felt that his speed had decreased by at least 20%, and it was still increasing. He reckoned that this time, he would be swallowed by the whirlpool beast below. However, the whirlpool beast would definitely not bite such a small creature like him and would directly swallow him into its stomach. At that time, he would be able to kill this whirlpool beast while he was at it. Such a huge whirlpool would require a whirlpool beast that was at least at the 7th level of the Nirvana realm or even the 8th level of the Nirvana realm to come out. This was a huge fortune. At the same time, as long as he killed this whirlpool beast, he would be able to return to the surface of the water again. He would not need to travel again and save time. Let me see the true face of this whirlpool beast. Yi Xian's eyes flickered. He was already prepared to unleash his ultimate move. He followed the whirlpool and soon, he felt that his speed had decreased by at least 30%. Not only that, he also felt a trace of warmth. Strange, why is the seawater getting hotter as we descend? Yi Xian was somewhat puzzled. Since there was no danger, Yi Xian directly commanded Wei Zhentian to check. Whoosh! Wei Zhentian immediately turned into a thin needle and broke through the water. Not long after, he received a message. What? You said there's a glowing beast with a big mouth? Yi Xian raised his eyebrows. The sky-reaching beast in the whirlpool was called the whirlpool beast by the surrounding people. However, no one was able to survive after seeing this whirlpool beast. However, when he thought about it, it made sense. The suction force was strong because of the big mouth. Yi Xian's perception range was agitated. It seemed that this whirlpool beast's body was not good. However, what Yi Xian did not understand was why the whirlpool beast was glowing. Could it be the anglerfish? I'll go down and take a look too. Yi Xian, who was wearing the brilliant golden armor, circulated his true qi and broke through the water. After a while, he saw a ball of light. He immediately used the Eye of Revelation and discovered that the ball of light was actually the thing he was looking for. That is the sea heart flame? Yi Xian's eyes widened. He was currently at the peak of Nirvana realm. If he wanted to break through to Nirvana realm level 5, he would need the sea heart flame, which was ranked 90th on the exceptional flame list. The sea heart flame was usually born in the deep sea. However, the deep sea was always a dangerous place. It was not easy to find the sea heart flame. Yi Xian had been guessing whether the sea heart flame was in the Unisea Sea region. Originally, he wanted to confirm the situation in the main hall of the Yinyang temple before going back to look for it. He did not expect to encounter it now. However, the sea heart flame was not exposed to the water. Instead, it was in the body of a big monster. This big monster was the sky-reaching beast known as the whirlpool beast. It's so big. It's going to be troublesome to kill it. Yi Xian raised his eyebrows. However, it was not good to be big because it would be fatal if it inhaled something bad. For example, Yi Xian. Wei Zhentian, let's go in. Yi Xian immediately ordered Wei Zhentian. Immediately, Wei Zhentian followed beside Yi Xian and was sucked into the whirlpool beast's body. At this moment, Yi Xian's speed was only about 60% of his speed outside. The seawater was too heavy. An ordinary level 4 Nirvana realm martial artist would have been suppressed to the point of being unable to move. The whirlpool beast sucked Yi Xian into its body. After passing through its esophagus and other organs, it was sucked into its stomach. The whirlpool beast's stomach was very big. Whatever it could digest would be left in its stomach. As for the seawater, it would be directly expelled from its body. When it was almost done with its food, the whirlpool beast would stop devouring. This whirlpool beast clearly had not eaten enough, so it was continuously taking in water. Yi Xian came to the huge stomach and glanced around. He realized that the sea heart flame was right beside the whirlpool beast's heart. At the same time, it happened to be right above his head. Wei Zhentian directly above. Break it open. Chapter 1381. However, Yi Xian had forgotten one thing. This time, Wei Zhentian was powerless because it was restricted and could not fly. There was also an area of air in the stomach. Anything in the unfrozen sea region could not fly unless they were of a high cultivation level. If that's the case, I'll break it myself. Yi Xian grabbed Wei Zhentian in his hand and swung his sword at the top of his head. Killing intent explosion. Unparalleled flaming dragon slash. The golden flaming dragon roared out and blasted a large hole in the stomach wall. Then, Yi Xian took out a small boat and climbed onto it. Poof! Yi Xian's entire body drilled into the large hole that was blasted open by the golden flame dragon. Then, his eyes began to flicker. Eye of Destruction. Eye of Destruction. Eye of Destruction. Yi Xian used the decomposing effect of the Eye of Destruction to open a passage in the whirlpool beast's stomach. Roar. The whirlpool beast's stomach was pierced by Yi Xian. It was in excruciating pain and its huge body trembled. However, Yi Xian was like a spider, holding on tightly to the whirlpool beast's flesh. Since he had come out, he would not fall back into the stomach again. Fortunately, The stomach was located closer to the front and was only used to filter the seawater. Therefore, there was no stomach acid. Otherwise, even Wei Zhentian would have been melted by the stomach acid. At this moment, Yi Xian had already reached the top of the stomach. After passing through several obstacles, he finally saw the sea heart flame. There should be more than one sea heart flame in this unfrozen sea region. That's why the seawater cannot be frozen. However, I don't know why I can't fly. Yi Xian thought to himself. He stomped his feet and rushed toward the sea heart flame. The sea heart flame was ranked 90th on the exceptional flame list. Yi Xian could withstand the flames of this thing, so Yi Xian could collect it with his hands. Ding! Host has devoured the sea heart flame. Ding! Host has broken through. Host is currently at the 5th level of the Nirvana realm. Ding! Host has completed a special level-up mission. Reward: killing intent explosion increased by 1 time. The reward this time was not bad. Killing intent explosion was very useful for Yi Xian, so it undoubtedly increased his combat strength. But most importantly, he'd broken through to the 5th level of the rebirth stage, and this caused his strength to rise explosively. The whirlpool beast could sense that the sea heart flame had been taken away by Yi Xian, but Yi Xian was inside its body. What could it do to Yi Xian? Die! Yi Xian slashed down with the heaven-shaking sword. Killing intent explosion. Peerless flame dragon slash. A golden flame dragon flew straight for the massive heart. The whirlpool beast's defense was indeed very strong, but its internal organs were not that strong. The whirlpool beast's heart was instantly pierced through by the golden flame dragon. Tons of blood poured out like a waterfall, and the pungent smell of blood immediately spread out. Under normal circumstances, the heart was a vital point. Even though one would not die immediately after having their heart pierced, they would not be able to live for long. The whirlpool beast's body shook violently and fell to the bottom of the sea. Ding! Host's killing intent has increased. Yi Xian's killing intent had increased by a large amount, but the most precious thing was still this corpse. This whirlpool beast is probably at the 8th level of the Nirvana stage. Its strength is not bad. I wonder if there are any whirlpool beasts that are bigger than it in the unfrozen sea region. Yi Xian thought to himself. He went back the way he came and kept the whirlpool beast's corpse in the planting space. Then, he returned to the surface of the sea and continued his journey. The rest of the journey was very smooth. Now that he had broken through to the 5th level of the Nirvana stage, his journey was even faster. After a day, he had left the unfrozen sea region. He estimated that the main hall of the Yinyang temple was nearby. Let's look around. Yi Xian narrowed his eyes. His figure flashed as he flew in a random direction. Half an hour later, he found a small town. This town was not big, but there were many experts in it. The strongest one had even reached the 6th level of the Nirvana stage. Moreover, this 6th level Nirvana stage expert was actually a Yinyang man. It seemed that he had found a disciple of the Yinyang temple. Mind's eye. Yi Xian, who had broken through to the 5th level of the Nirvana stage, had no problem controlling this 6th level Yinyang man. Ding! Control successful. When the system notification rang out, the disciple of the Yinyang temple left the town and walked towards Yi Xian. Are you a disciple of the main hall of the Yinyang temple? Yi Xian asked directly. Yes. The Yinyang man nodded. Did something happen to the Yinyang temple? Yi Xian continued to ask. Yes. The Yinyang man nodded again. This answer made Yi Xian's heart sink. Something really did happen to the Yinyang temple. What happened? Yi Xian hurriedly asked. The Yinyang man paused for a moment and explained, I don't know the details. I wasn't in the Yinyang temple that day. I heard it from other disciples. A few days ago, an immortal-level powerhouse came to the Yinyang sacred hall all of a sudden. He destroyed the hall in one hit and killed countless disciples. Everything was taken away by that powerhouse, Lin Huang said. Boom! Hearing this, Yi Xian's heart trembled violently. He hurriedly asked, Who is the Yinyang ancestor? Where is he? The Yinyang ancestor is the first temple master of the Yinyang temple. He was the one who established the Yinyang temple. However, it is said that he doesn't live in seclusion in the Yinyang temple. The Yinyang man replied. Life was really full of ups and downs. Previously, Yi Xian thought that the Yinyang ancestor was dead. After hearing this, he suddenly saw hope and asked again, Then do you know Song Sui Jing and Adjudicator Song? Song Sui Jing? Adjudicator song? The Yin-Yang man paused for a moment and seemed to be thinking about something. At this moment, the woman in his body suddenly said, "They seem to be the two disciples that the ancestor took in 3 years ago. However, the ancestor found them in an extremely remote place. I heard that they haven't merged yet." "All right, I also remember. It is said that their physiques are very perfect. If they merge, their fusion should surpass the ancestor's 90% and reach 100%. The Yin-Yang elder brother also reacted. "So they haven't merged yet?" Yi Xian's eyes lit up. "I don't think so. I heard that the two have been rejecting each other. Their soul frequency is always different, so..." The Yin-Yang sister shook her head. This time, Yi Xian was relieved. It was very likely that the Yin-Yang ancestor didn't live in seclusion in the Yin-Yang temple. Instead, he chose another place to teach Song Sui Jing and Adjudicator Song. "I hope so." Yi Xian was still a little nervous. After all, this Yin-Yang man was only at the 6th level of Nirvana stage. He didn't know much. Chapter 1382. Immediately, Yi Xian inquired about the location of the Yin-Yang temple before rushing over by himself. Ever since the destruction of the Yin-Yang Sacred Hall, due to their previous arrogance and despotism, the disciples of the Yin-Yang Sacred Hall were all wanted and didn't dare to appear again. If they were exposed, they would definitely be killed. When he arrived at the main hall of the Yin-Yang temple, he saw that it was in ruins. There was no sign of life at all. It seemed that it had been destroyed by a single blow. It must have been done by the white-robed elder. That person is indeed an immortal-level expert. Yi Xian still had a lingering fear. He shuddered at the thought of that day. Fortunately, he still had a doppelganger in the eastern continent. Otherwise he would have died. He survived facing Mo Shui. Now, facing the Xianming duo, he was forced to detonate 2 of his doppelganger. "I will definitely get my revenge." Yi Xian narrowed his eyes and said to himself. But before that, he had to find Song Sui Jing and Adjudicator Song. This place was in ruins. There was not even a dog. It would be difficult to investigate. Not everyone knew where the Yin-Yang ancestor was. Even if he found some Yin-Yang people, it would be of no help. It would be very troublesome to find them. However, just as Yi Xian was at his wit's end, a figure suddenly appeared in the sky. Yi Xian sensed something and turned his head. When he saw who it was, his whole body trembled. This person was the Yin-Yang ancestor that he had been looking for nearly 3 years. "No, no, no!" The Yin-Yang ancestor roared as he flew. His gaze fell on the ruins. He had built the Yin-Yang temple single-handedly, but now it was destroyed. How could he remain calm? "No, who is it? Who is it?" Patriarch Yin-Yang seemed to have lost his mind and was shouting and yelling like a madman. At the same time, Yi Xian withdrew his murderous gaze and quickly retreated. At the same time, he placed another death warrant on the Yin-Yang ancestor. After completing a specific level-up task, the death warrant was upgraded. Now it could mark 2 people. One of the marks was for Nailan Bing of the Xianming duo. The second one was for the Yin-Yang ancestor. This time, he did not expect the Yin-Yang ancestor to appear. Therefore, he could not lose track of the Yin-Yang ancestor. He placed a death warrant on the Yin-Yang ancestor first. At the same time, he knew the names of the Yin-Yang ancestor and his sister. The brother was Lu Wenxing, and the sister was Lu Wenyue. The Yin-Yang ancestor was indeed not in the Yin-Yang ancestor's residence. With a few disciples. If it weren't for the Yin-Yang people who had survived and found his place of seclusion, he probably wouldn't have known that the Yin-Yang temple had been destroyed. After learning of this, he immediately rushed over. As expected, the Yin-Yang temple that he had built up was no more of a person. Wenxing. Who did? I don't know. I can't think of anyone who can destroy the entire Yin-Yang ancestor's residence. It must be a LV2 or 3 immortality realm expert. Lu Wenxing gritted his teeth. The people in the temple must have offended a strong enemy. Brother, there aren't many forces with such a level of expert around, right? Lu Wenyue continued. No matter what, we must find the culprit. Our 1,000 years of effort must not go to waste. As Lu Wenxing spoke, he turned around and left. He was very fast. In the blink of an eye, he was out of Yi Xian's field of vision. Even the Eye of Revelation could not find him. So fast. Yi Xian could not help but gulp when he saw the Yin Yang ancestor's speed. He did not hear what the Yin Yang ancestor said, but he saw the movement of the Yin Yang ancestor's lips. After some analysis, he knew what they were talking about. However, the siblings' conversation was worthless. He guessed that the Yin Yang ancestor was also an immortality realm expert. Of course, their aura was not as strong as the old man in white. It seems that the scripture of punishment and the judge are fine. The Yin Yang ancestor might have returned to his place of seclusion. Go after them. At that moment, Yi Xian quickly followed. Although Ancestor Yin Yang's speed was astonishingly fast, with the effect of the death pursuit order, Yi Xian wouldn't lose his target even if he had to go to the ends of the earth. During the chase, Yi Xian kept an eye on the Yin Yang ancestor's movements to see if he had stopped at a certain place. Perhaps that place was the Yin Yang ancestor's place of seclusion. After about half a day, the Yin Yang ancestor stopped for about 5 minutes. Then he rushed north. There! Yi Xian widened his eyes and quickly memorized the approximate location. He estimated that with his speed, it would take him at least a day to reach the place where the Yin Yang ancestor stopped for 5 minutes. He hoped that the scripture of punishment and the judge were there. After stopping for 5 minutes, Patriarch Yin Yang continued to head north. He traveled for an entire day without stopping to rest. This direction was in the same direction as the other target of the Death Hunt Command, Nalan Bing, was in. Although the Yin Yang ancestor and Nalan Bing are going in the same direction, they are too far apart. Nalan Bing is several days ahead of the Yin Yang ancestor. The Yin Yang ancestor won't be able to catch up with her. Yi Xian thought to himself. At this time, he had been traveling for a day and finally arrived at the place where the Yin Yang ancestor stopped for 5 minutes. It was a valley surrounded by maze formations, illusory formations, and various defensive formations. It seemed that Yi Xian did not find the wrong place. I found them, I finally found them. The scripture of punishment and the judge. Wait for me. Yi Xian was a little excited. After searching for nearly 3 years, he had finally climbed all the way from the Supreme Being to the Nirvana realm. After experiencing countless life and death situations, he finally found the Yin Yang ancestor. There might be some experts in the Yin Yang ancestor's place of seclusion. I have to test it out first. Yi Xian quietly approached and made preparations. Then, he asked Wei Zhentian to transform into a sky dragon and attack the valley. Wei Zhentian was at the 6th level of the Nirvana realm. His strength was not bad. However, the defensive formation around the valley was personally set up by the Yin Yang ancestor. It could not be broken by ordinary people. Rumble! Wei Zhentian transformed into a 100-meter-long sky dragon and attacked the defensive formation of the valley. The deafening sound naturally fell into the ears of the people in the valley. How dare you attack the Yin Yang ancestor's place of seclusion? You're courting death. Chapter 1383. These people were all at the 7th level of the Nirvana stage and their strength was not bad. However, this was nothing to Yi Xian who had broken through to the 5th level of the Nirvana stage. Young master, should we kill or control them? Luo asked. Control them. I need to use them to enter the valley and use the Eye of Enchantment once, Yi Xian replied. Okay. Luo nodded and appeared next to Yi Xian. After a few days of traveling, she had broken through to the 6th level of the Nirvana stage from the 5th level of the Nirvana stage. She did not need the Eye of Enchantment to charm these 4 people. However, considering that they were Yin Yang people and had stronger souls than ordinary people, she decided to use the Eye of Enchantment to be on the safe side. The 4 of them had already appeared in front of Wei Zhentian. Soon after, they attacked together, preparing to capture Wei Zhentian. However, at this moment, Luo suddenly attacked. Eye of Enchantment. A pink eyeball appeared and controlled the 4 Yin Yang people in an instant. Then, they pretended to kill Wei Zhentian and began to search the surroundings. Yi Xian glanced around and called the 4 people over when he did not see anyone else or sky-reaching beast. Without saying a word, he took off their universe rings and devoured them without hesitation. Ding! Wei Zhentian has broken through to the 7th level of the Nirvana stage. Ding! Host has reached the peak of the 5th level of the Nirvana stage. After hearing the 2 system notifications, Yi Xian finally knew what kind of exotic flame was needed to break through to the 6th level of the Nirvana stage. The Dragon Phoenix Flame was ranked 88th on the exotic flame list. It was said that it was born in the body of a sky-reaching beast like the dragon phoenix. The dragon phoenix was the descendant of the sky dragon and the phoenix. However, there was a substitute exotic flame called the dragon phoenix flame this time. The dragon phoenix was also the descendant of the sky dragon and the phoenix. However, between the dragon phoenix and the dragon phoenix, the former was male and the latter was female. At this moment, Xian did not have time to investigate the dragon phoenix flame. It was more important to ask. This is the Yin-Yang old ancestor's place of seclusion, right? Is there a pair of brother and sister named Song Sui-jing and adjudicator Song inside? Xian went straight to the point. Even the Yin-Yang man from before knew the names of Song Sui-jing and adjudicator Song. It was impossible for these four to not know them. Yeah, they were locked up by the patriarch in the valley. That's right. Because they weren't willing to merge, the ancestor locked them up. He's been using threats and promises all this time. I heard that the ancestor even tried to erase their memories, but for some reason he failed. Both of them have great aptitudes. They have only joined the Yin-Yang temple for less than 3 years. They haven't even merged yet, but they have already broken through to the 7th level of the Nirvana realm. Their aptitudes are so good that it makes people envious. The 4 Yin-Yang people answered one question each. Hearing this, Xian was relieved. It seemed that what he was worried about did not happen. How many experts are there in the valley? Xian asked once again. There are 10 7th level Nirvana realm experts, 3 8th level Nirvana realm experts, and 1 9th level Nirvana realm expert. They are the ancestors' first pair of disciples. One of them replied. 10 7th level Nirvana realm experts, 3 8th level Nirvana realm experts, and 1 9th level Nirvana realm experts. I can't deal with them now. Xian's expression was a little ugly. Song Sui-jing and adjudicator Song were now locked up inside, but he didn't have the strength to break in. However, it wasn't like there was no way to save them. You guys, tell me the method to enter the array, then secretly lure out the 7th level Nirvana realm experts. Xian said to the 4 of them. Yes. The 4 7th level Nirvana realm experts nodded and immediately told Xian the method to enter the valley. Looking at their backs as they left, Xian pondered for a moment. There were 10 7th level Nirvana realm experts inside. With Luo's current level, she could charm them. At that time, it wouldn't be a problem for the 14 7th level Nirvana realm experts to deal with the 3 8th level Nirvana realm experts. Of course, the 9th level Nirvana realm expert would be a big problem. Or perhaps, he could let Luo break through to the 7th level Nirvana realm. This way, Luo could face the 9th level Nirvana realm expert alone. However, this method wasn't safe. After all, Luo still needed 2 days to break through. What if the ancestor returned in 2 days? Wouldn't it be a tragedy? Soon, the 4 7th level Nirvana realm experts brought their companions out one by one and were finally controlled by Luo. The 10 7th level Nirvana realm interspatial rings were all obtained by Xian. Master, the ancestor's disciple seems to have the dragon phoenix flame that you want. One of the Yin-Yang people suddenly said. What? Hearing this, Xian couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. The dragon phoenix flame was the key to his breakthrough from the 5th level Nirvana realm to the 6th level Nirvana realm. If he had the dragon phoenix flame, he could immediately break through to the 6th level Nirvana realm. At that time, it would be enough for him to kill his way in. Unfortunately, the dragon phoenix flame was in the hands of the ancestor's disciple. The ancestor's disciple was the former temple master of the Yin-Yang temple. He was at the 9th level Nirvana realm and was not easy to deal with. However, Xian was thinking about another problem at this moment. Wasn't this too much of a coincidence? The beast fire, wind thunder raging flame, ice ceiling flame, sea heart flame, eternal earth core flame, and dragon phoenix flame are all around me. This is too much of a coincidence. Xian thought to himself in astonishment. However, he quickly calmed down. Perhaps the ancestor of the Yin-Yang temple knew that Xian would come here. Amazing. Forget it. The most important thing is to get the dragon phoenix flame. Thinking of this, Xian turned his head and asked, is the dragon phoenix flame important to the ancestor's disciple? Temple Master Cui has already refined 2 types of mysterious flames and is trying to fuse the dragon phoenix flame to break through to the immortal realm. One of the Yin-Yang people replied. Fusing the dragon phoenix flame meant that it was very important to Temple Master Cui. It seemed that it would not be so easy to get it. Can we lure out the 3 elders at the 8th level Nirvana realm? Yi Xian continued to ask. Yes. Everyone answered. Good. Then we'll lure out the weaker one. Yi Xian nodded. Soon after, these Yin Yang people hurriedly returned. In order to prevent the people inside from becoming suspicious, they had planted a few spies in the valley. The ancestor's disciple, Temple Master Cui, was the person guarding Song Suijing and Adjudicator Song. Although Yi Xian did not have the ability to fight against him, he could rescue Song Suijing and Adjudicator Song as long as he sent him away. Not long after, 3 Yin Yang people left the valley with an 8th level Nirvana realm elder.